cardiologist about treatment advances that gave me new options. That conversation was big for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol-Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com to learn more.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's pendergastlaw.com.
Rojas is around third. He slides across. What is going on in the 8th inning? The Mariners have tied it up.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners won their first series under new manager Dan Wilson, taking 2 of 3 from the Giants over the weekend. They'll open a series against the Rays today at 6:40 p.m. The Seahawks finished their preseason 2-1 under new head coach Mike Macdonald. Next up, roster cutdown day. Teams need to submit their 53-man roster by tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. You know, Bump, I entered the weekend following, obviously, the news that Service had been fired by, on Friday, tuning in immediately as soon as the Mariners game started to be like, what does it look like? Does it feel different? Are we going to see different things? Like, I may not have been paying as close attention to a team that had really, really struggled going 1-8 on a road trip. But here I was turning on this series against a very mid-Giants team to do exactly that, to see what would look and feel different. That's what Bump and I are starting our show with. If you guys thought the series felt different or maybe exactly the same, let us know on the Mac and Jacks text line 866-979-3776. Bump, did it feel different to you at all?
Let me start by saying that it's 3 games. So it's hard in baseball to really say, oh, this is completely different. And then when you look at just their numbers, like they still struck out 14 times in that first game, but they rallied in it and they came back, so good for them. It's so hard to tell. It didn't feel different to me. Maybe I've looked on X and I'm watching or reading people's responses and they talk about the demeanor of Dan. Maybe that felt a bit different. I did see him go out and talk to the ump at one point, and his interaction seemed a bit different with the Blue than it did with Service. So there were little things like that, but you look at the lineup that was rolled out there, it was the same as Service's last time out as a skip. Same lineup. It didn't feel too different to me. It felt like the Mariners team that we know, right? You struck out 14 times. You did have 8 walks that first game, 9 hits. You score 6 runs. And what have we talked about? You score 6 runs, most of the time they're going to win those ball games. So, no, it didn't feel too different. I think it's going to take a bit more time before I can put my finger on exactly what is different, because we are not in the dugout. We're not in the clubhouse. We're not having these conversations. So, no, either way you slice it, though, if I'm Dan, I'm like, I'm 2-1, dog. I'm 2-1 as the skip of the Mariners. So good for him, and you did gain a game against the Astros this weekend.
253, I kind of feel like a leopard doesn't change its spots, but the overall vibe seemed lighter. I'll actually agree with that. I think that because you kind of have to, right? Like, you kind of have no choice at that point as a player but to rally. You've also gone 1-8 on a road trip, and you're just desperate to be like, let's right this ship. And now that we're home, let's get a win against a team that we stack up better against. 406 on the Mac and Jacks text line saying something that I heard plenty of on Twitter, at least. 406 says they called a bunt in the bottom of the 10th. Didn't get it down, though. Bump one. I wrote this down verbatim, but it's not the only thing I saw kind of echoing this. Scott Service's philosophy of scoring runs just didn't work. Dan Wilson's adjusting and playing small ball and manufacturing runs.
At one point, the Mariners were third in MLB when it comes to bunt attempts. So I guess the timing of it might have been different, but the Mariners always had the green light. We talked to heard Luke Raley talk about that. Look, the third baseman is sitting back. I'm going to lay the bunt down. We got the green light. Maybe it was the situation, right, in the 10th. I'm trying to manufacture runs that way. So, yeah, if he made that call, big ups. Good stuff. And manufacturing runs, that's always interesting to me, because in baseball, I feel like every team's going to try to do it at least somehow the same way. Get men on base, give runners a scoring position, get them in. Are you going to do it whether you're hitting bombs or you're hitting singles or doubles? So, yeah, it didn't seem just too different to me, Stacey. I think that this is what humans are going to do, and this is what we do, especially when you're following the Mariners and you wanted this change. You want to see it. You are going to overanalyze every single thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this 3 games, and I'm saying, good, man. Maybe the vibes were different. I'm happy for Dan getting off a 2-1 start. He did try to lay down, or they did try to lay down a bunt in the 10th, but I've seen that with the Mariners already. It's going to be so hard to really tell exactly what the change is when you've only seen 3 games, but to win a series at home, I'm all for that. I'll take that every day.
Mike from P-Town says, stolen bases, y'all. He's right. They did have 5 stolen bases in that final game. We were aggressive on the base paths.
Definitely were.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, 5 stolen bases the other day?
5 stolen bases. Yeah. Curtis, you had a stat where you were looking at that first. Dan Wilson had this to say about those stolen bases.
Yeah, I love aggressiveness, and I think we had, Robbie is a little bit slower to the plate, and we knew we could take advantage of that, and these guys were ready to get on that, and I think it kind of sets the tone early in a game too, and we're able to swipe a couple bags, get ourselves out of double play and into scoring position, and I thought it made a statement early. These guys were aggressive, and I loved it.
Saying Ray's slower to the plate, so we took advantage of that.
Yeah, the numbers bear that out, too, because yesterday, coming into the game, Robbie Ray opponents had been stealing on him about 5% of the time. He had thrown, I think, only like 90-something pitches with runners on base this season. And then after yesterday's game, with how many times the Mariners were stealing in those first 3 innings, opponents are now stealing 7.5% off of Robbie Ray. I wonder if there's a little bit of a hitch in his delivery post Tommy John surgery that teams are taking advantage of. But it was great to see the Mariners do that yesterday and really keep the Giants on their heels.
Yeah, Bump, it's hard when you see something like that to be like, well, Scott wouldn't have done it. But, hey, Dan Wilson did. He called for those. That's still aggressive. I still have to applaud him for that. Whether or not that's just a pure byproduct of a team looking at Robbie Ray going, we got to do what other teams are doing against this guy, or whether it's a byproduct of a manager who wants to be more aggressive, TBD. We'll find out probably a little more in this series against the Rays.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Who knows if he had the data showing, okay, Robbie Ray's a bit slow, so let's get after him. Or was he observing that himself and saying, you know what, guys, let's get aggressive against this dude, man. I see something. If it was the latter, for sure, I applaud him. Even if it was the former, I applaud him. That's what sports is, right? You see something the opponent is doing or not doing, and you do something to complicate the situation. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Most of what I'm seeing on the text lines is just the vibe was different. The feel was different. And I think essentially that's what Jerry DePoto was looking for, right? Change something up, hear a different voice, have a different approach. Maybe the feeling is different. And sometimes vibes can take you to a place you haven't been in a while. And I hope that's the case here, man. But as far as the actual baseball play, I'm still got to wait. I got to see like 10 games or something before we start picking up on habits and trends and approach. But no, it was a good weekend, man, especially on the weekend when one of your guys on the mound didn't really have their best outing, and you had to fight through some adversity, and you saw a young guy in Wu have a great outing. So yeah, there were some good things that happened this weekend, man. Well, however you slice it, it's a brand new day here in Seattle, and so far these guys have been off to a good start.
Yeah, that's a really good point about I don't know that we're ever going to see drastic changes in the way that one manager is over the other, most especially since Dan Wilson is just starting out. Like, he's not going to come in with an entire offseason to plan exactly who he wants to be and get to know these guys, even though he knows this team plenty, obviously being close to the organization. He's probably going to take advantage of an offseason to really define who he wants to be as a manager. So you're not going to see a drastic difference. But you're right. The vibes did feel a bit different. It felt like a little bit of okay, we're not a sinking ship right now. We've kind of been given a second chance to like if you fail, it's because, your manager was fired and your season was lost. So there's almost nothing to lose. Like at this point, everyone's thinking you're not going to make it work. So now, it's a little lighter in a way, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you took care of a series that you were probably supposed to take care of. And I think that's big too, because we've seen this team go into series like against the Giants, and we sit here and say, well, the chances of them getting this done are high. Let's hope they get this done and the Astros lose one or two and then you gain a game. And that's exactly what happened. So they took care of business. And sometimes that's half of the deal. You just take care of business and put yourself in position for the next series. They did exactly that, man. I'm interested. I can't wait to continue to read the text lines, because the last time we saw the text lines, it was everywhere, man. It was this guy should go, that guy should go. He didn't do anything. He did everything. And we all came at this thing from different angles, but now we're all in the same boat and saying, well, what's done is done. Scott is no longer here. Dan is the guy. What do we see this weekend? We're back in this together. So I'm interested throughout the day just to see how the text lines responds, because this is their team. This team belongs to the M's fans that show up every single day and support this team and call in and text in. So I want to see what they feel. And me personally, I'm kind of like, we'll see. Good series. All right, you did lay down a bunt in the 10th. You try to move runners over. All right, you fought through some adversity. The vibe might have felt different. I did see the interaction with the ump and say, okay, that interaction was different. Granted, Dan's a big man, too. When you're looking down at Blue, the interaction is going to be a bit different. When he was
standing in front of that ump and they were face-to-face, I was like, this man has no respect for personal space, and I can kind of co-sign it. Like, I'm kind of out here going, Dan, I see you. I recognize your game. I wasn't familiar with your game.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know, Dan.
253, this is the one thing I'll kind of push back against, but I recognize that I might be wrong. I'm trying to, think like a scientist here, not be too dead set in my own understanding. The 253 says, small ball, isn't that what works for this park? Put the game in motion. That's what Dan did. I don't think that the Mariners failed offensively and just tried to swing for the fences as a direct result of a philosophy of Scott Service's. I think that playing small ball is hard in general in today's league, and I think that this team benefited from playing a lower quality team.
Yeah.
I don't think that Scott Service is telling guys, hey, hit a home run here. Really hit a home run. And that Dan Wilson is telling guys, hit a single. That's just not quite how it works.
Yeah.
I am open to the idea that I might be wrong here, but my understanding has always been that the overall philosophy of a team for a baseball organization starts a little higher than just a manager.
Yeah, it definitely does. He just, I'm sure he has some input. He has some say into the philosophy, but when it's all said and done, the higher-ups have a major influence on what's going on. Ryan from Spokane says, Dan's not throwing Muni in the 7th or the 8th. Service didn't typically do that either. He did that because he was desperate, and he knew that this team needed some type of spark. So it's hard to look at one decision and say, that's why it's so tough. We're looking at 3 games, and Ryder Homie from Spokane texting all the time. Thanks for listening. You're looking at one situation and saying, well, Dan didn't do that. Dan's only been, controlling things for about 3 games now. He hasn't been, and he has nothing to lose. This team could come out here, not make the playoffs, look horrible towards the stretch, and he's going to say, give me the offseason to work with these guys, maybe give Jerry some time to bring some guys in, and we're good to go. He's operating under different circumstances. He doesn't have the same pressure that Service had because Service was here for 7-8 years and only made the playoff once. Right now, Dan can do no wrong. And ride this wave, Dan, for real, because you know how this thing goes, man. These fans, they love you one day, they hate you the next day. Right now, they love Dan. We all love Dan. Just keep the good times rolling.
I will say this as kind of like a final note, kind of echoing what you said. Like, we're going to learn a lot more about Dan Wilson as a manager in the next couple series here, and I really appreciate that those series are going to be at home against teams that are closer to 500, so you kind of get a chance to see, like, to just take a breather, right? And look, I thought that a breather would come against the Tigers and Pirates, and it didn't. You took 1 win out of those 2 series, so I say that knowing that's not always the case, but I'm excited to see what Dan Wilson can do here, if this team can pull this off. I want 2 things to happen, though, and I don't know that they can both happen. The 2 things I want to happen are, 1, that this team make the playoffs, just out of just the unlikeliest position that they somehow make it work because the playoffs are fun. The other thing I would like to still happen is that this organization takes a lot of time to reflect on its overall philosophy and its approach to adding talent this offseason. And the only thing I worry is that if this team makes the playoffs, they think, oh, there's nothing wrong with us.
We got it.
And I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah,
I want a playoff run and a lot of self-reflection.
Always get better.
You
Never
know?
be complacent. That's what the great teams do, especially when they got a bunch of money to play with, which the Mariners don't. But that doesn't mean you can't always self-reflect, self-scout, and just do better. So, it's off to a good start, man. It's off to a good start. We'll see how the changes show up over the next few weeks of the season.
Yeah.
But so far so good for Dan.
We are not spending a ton of time on the Mariners, even though it was a good first series for Dan Wilson as far as overall record. Still some offensive questions, but we'll hopefully see those improve as the season moves forward with the series against the Rays. Because it is the wrap-up of the preseason for the Seahawks, and because tomorrow is the deadline to trim that roster, we're going to spend much of the first hour and a half here looking at that Seahawks team. That begins at 10:30 in about 15 minutes when we take a look at what we saw from Seattle starters on offense. Bump, I know you've got some notes about Ryan Grubb's offense. And then we had some good news from one NFL analyst for the Seahawks. They just have to make sure they take advantage of it. John Boyle, Seahawks.com reporters, joining us at 11. Right now, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the Seahawks won their preseason finale, but everyone is holding their breath today over Uchenna Nwosu, who had to leave the game with a knee injury. What's the real headline?
As someone who remembers this defense last year without Uchenna, I don't want to see it again.
Yeah, that was tough last year without Uchenna. He brings more than just the physical there, man. He's a leader out there. So when you saw him go down, I think a lot of people held their breath for a minute. And it sounds like the meniscus has been injured a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. Thankfully, they are deep at that position. It's just ironic, right? You get rid of DT, and then Uchenna goes down, and you're looking at that move and say, man, what if DT was there?
Luck.
Would they feel better about this situation? Something tells me it was deeper than just the play on the field with DT. But yeah, that's unfortunate, man. As soon as we saw him go down, I'm like, get him out the game, get everybody out the game. Let's just get to week 1. And mentally, this has to be tough on Uchenna, man. You're coming back from injury from last year where you missed the majority of the season, man. We talked to him during training camp. He was down in L.A., feeling great. And it's just unfortunate. And then anyone who's saying that the offensive lineman for the Browns was dirty, that's not the case, man. He switched responsibilities. He's getting into a pass drop. He's beat around the edge. He's trying to chop Uchenna down. That is just football. Just because someone gets hurt doesn't necessarily mean it was a dirty play. I think he was all good there. It's just unfortunate.
The context is helpful, though, because as someone who does not know how to study and analyze offensive line play or look at the changing of assignments, and as someone who doesn't have that context, I think what you see as a fan is that guy went low at the knees, and then he got a flag for an illegal chop block. I don't like that, right? So having that additional context.
That was a bang play. It's illegal because the lineman went low and the running back went high, but it happened so fast. I don't think the running back is sitting there and saying, yeah, let's high-low this dude. I don't think the lineman is saying, yeah, I'm going for the outside of that knee, let's chop him down. No, the lineman is trying to make a chin and go as deep as possible so his quarterback can step up in the pocket, and the running back sees a guy who's beaten. He's trying to help his lineman out. Things just happen on accident. It's a lot harder than what people think it is, especially when you see it in slow motion and you're critiquing these guys. It's just unfortunate.
I feel like that's what Dave Wyman typically says, too. He'd be right here going, Bump, you're exactly right, because he always says that. He's like, there are so fewer dirty plays than it looks like there are in the league. Like, it's not like guys don't throw them, but for every, 10 that you see, one was a guy trying to be, a bad dude.
Yeah.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, the Seahawks have made a trade with the Jags for linebacker Trevis Gibson. They'll send Jacksonville a late-round pick in return. What's the real headline?
If you're a linebacker, you might get traded to the Seahawks today, too.
That second level. And, interior linemen, linebackers and outside guys, the edge rushers, they have to be dynamic on this team. And especially when you have some injuries go down, there's always like a domino effect. It affects someone else's role and status on this team. But, this is football, man. That's why you got to be deep. That's why it's important you watch this preseason and you see what Tyrese Knight is doing. You see what Derek Hall is doing, because eventually they are going to have to play. Hopefully you don't rely on those guys a lot. But this is ball, man. It's a violent game. And when one guy goes down, other things happen. And if one guy is performing at a level, you got to bring in somebody else for backup help. So, this is ball, man.
The Seahawks handling of particularly their inside linebackers, though Gibson was drafted as a defensive end and is really brought in to add depth behind Uchenna as an edge rusher. So, but still, looking at the linebacker group as a whole, watching the sacrifice in overall talent and investment that Seattle made there, to me, Bump, is kind of an interesting study of the balance you have to make as a front office. When I say something as a fan like, oh, the Seahawks really struggle with linebacker depth, you don't think John Schneider hears it and goes, yeah. You know why? Because I used a number 5 pick on a corner, a number 16 pick on a defensive tackle, and then gave a new contract to a defensive tackle after trading a second-round pick for him. I chose to invest in 2 other pieces. Oh, also, I used some other investments for the offensive line. You're going to have to take it from somewhere.
Yeah, every spot isn't going to be a strong 2 or 3 deep. That's just not how it goes. You're going to have to sacrifice somewhere and hope that a cheaper investment kind of works out for you if you need it to work out. Everyone has the same salary cap in the NFL. We're not talking baseball where you just go out and get the best thing that's out there. No, you have a budget to work with, and you invest heavily in one spot, and the other spot might suffer a bit. But that's where you find those diamonds in the rough, man. And they've been pretty good at doing that here in Seattle.
I will say that the Rams, when they brought over Leonard Floyd, who had kind of flamed out with the Bears, did he follow... who was the, I'm totally blanking on his name, who then became head coach of the Chargers, Brandon Staley. I think he followed Brandon Staley from the Bears over to the Rams, if I'm remembering this right. And the Rams had big questions in the linebacker group. And then they ended up getting kind of a resurgence from Leonard Floyd, who granted was a very high draft pick, had a lot of talent, just wasn't quite fitting in Chicago. So you never know what's going to happen. Like, you could end up heading into a season like the Rams did, knowing on defense that they had a weakness in the middle, and then something just works, and something you just figure out. And Floyd was more of an edge rusher again, but like you said, with the diamond in the rough, like, you never know if you're going to be able to iron that out as the season progresses.
Yeah, man. There are a bunch of Hall of Famers who are late-round draft picks, and I'm not saying the Hawks need a Hall of Famer, but history shows that you can find some guys, man, who are overlooked, and we're hoping that the Hawks do that every single year.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, Adam Schefter told Pat McAfee this morning that it, quote, sounds like Jacoby Brissett might still have the edge to start the season for the Patriots. What's the real headline?
But does he have the talent to finish it?
Here's the thing. I said last week that I think Jacoby's going to be the starter, especially when you're looking at that offensive line with New England. He doesn't have to finish the season. All he has to do is show this young man how to operate. And then they'll get to a point of the season where they feel like all is lost. We're not making the playoffs anyway. Now let's go ahead and put the youngster in there because expectations are low. You put him in right now, even though, Stacey, no one expects the New England Patriots to do anything. If you put him in there right now, people just expect him to elevate the play as a rookie. And that's so hard to do at that quarterback spot if you don't have help around you. So how do you protect this young man mentally and physically? You throw Jacoby out there, a guy who's been in the league for a while, who understands what it is to be a quarterback in this league. And if he fails, so be it, because no one expects him to be the starter in this league for a complete season anymore. He's a career backup. Protect your investment. That mental is so crucial when it comes to the quarterback position. So, yeah, I think he'll be the starter. They'll lose 9 games early on in the season. Then you go over to Drake May, no pressure on him, and just let him develop.
A version of a question that I asked Benjamin Solak that he hated. I'm going to throw your way now, and I apologize in advance.
Okay.
Who starts more games? Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett.
Gardner Minshew.
Wow.
Gardner's going to start.
Coug bias.
No, he's going to start the whole season.
You think he's going to play 17 games?
17 of them things.
No way.
Yep.
You think
so.
that at no point Gardner Minshew will lose that job to Aiden O'Connell?
No, because Gardner Minshew shows he'll do just enough to keep you competitive. He'll do just enough, and that's all you need right now with the Raiders. Just be competitive. You're not going to win a lot of games. You'll draft a quarterback, and then you'll move on. Nah, it's going to be Gardner for sure, because we talk about Jacoby.
Yeah.
He's going to play X amount of games, and Drake's going to get in. Russell Wilson. Let me say, look, I watched that game. Russell did not have a bad game, but when Justin Fields has a football, you feel like a big play could be made at any moment.
Right.
Now, you have to deal with his turnovers and stuff. It does look sloppy at times, but for some reason, when Russell has the ball, it didn't feel like that offense was going to go. He drove him down the field, had a good series, then they took him out. That's going to be tough over there. I don't think Russell plays the whole year. Gardner Minshew, go Cougs. And that's just not me supporting Coug. I just think that's what he's going to do.
Do you think Russell still gets the nod as QB1? Or do you think they give it to Justin Fields to start the season?
I think they're going to go with Russell to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see. We'll talk about that all a bit more in NFL headlines. Coming up next, we are not talking nearly enough about Seattle's explosive offense. That's next.
The pennant race is on Seattle Sports.
Swing and a drive deep to right center. That baby's way gone. Goodbye, baseball.
Tune in for exclusive coverage, expert analysis, and every single pitch as the Mariners sail toward the AL West title.
Swinging a fly ball, blasted deep. This is way back and gone. And a swing and a miss, came back with a splitter for strike 3.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Are you looking for a distinctly Christian education? A place where your child can be challenged with academic rigor through a biblical worldview, and where you can build a community around the most important things in life: faith, family, and education. My name is Jordan Gage, head of school at King's, and I'd love to share more with you about how your student can flourish on our campus. For a tour or more information, go to our website at kingschools.org or simply text Jordan to 89419. Building resilient disciples of Christ through Christian education for 75 years.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscarf Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now, because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions. You name it, these are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com.
It's that time again. Sunbanks Resort in Electric City, Washington is hosting 2 upcoming music festivals. September 5th through the 8th, Sunbanks Blues and Roots Festival. And September 12th through the 15th, 2024, Sunbanks Rocks. Live music against the backdrop of Banks Lake near Grand Coulee Dam at the beautiful Sunbanks Lake Resort. Call Sunbanks Resort at 509-633-3786, extension 1 to reserve your campsite. Offering tents, RVs, and lodging from the basic cabins to houses that sleep up to 12.
Increase leads and get more customers. We create tailored digital marketing strategies that deliver results. So on your next campaign, aim higher. Go to aimyourdigital.com and get started today. aimyourdigital.com.
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit par.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
This is Seattle Sports.
10-5, touchdown Seahawks in mid-stand.
The home of the Seahawks.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Hey, babe. Yeah, the bank password is moneybags, but a $ instead of the S.
Mr. Moneybags here is about to get his identity stolen.
Wait, what?
If he used 1Password, he can share logins, credit cards, and other important information with just his wife, not the whole store. Sir, your card's been declined.
Again?
Security is complicated. 1Password isn't. And right now, get a free 2-week trial at onepassword.com. That's 2 free weeks at onepassword.com.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industries' no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Do you ever feel like the universe tries to teach you a lesson?
Every single day.
Like,
You're stressed out right now.
I am. I got a pumpkin spice latte this morning.
You pumpkin spice latte? Never.
And a pumpkin spice as a syrup from Starbucks is actually orange. And I got it. It's an iced beverage. And I spilled it all over my white button-up shirt. And during the last 2 breaks, for the entirety of the break, Bump has been watching me with a Tide pen just like coloring on my shirt.
Because we do live television here, and you don't want people to see that.
Well, and it's just like I want to Tide pen it a little bit before. I'm going to obviously have to wash it when I get home. But like I want to Tide pen it a little bit so I don't have... I'm already wearing baggy clothes. So I don't need coffee all over the baggy clothes. It's a bad look.
You just said, my kids made fun of me for saying this word. You said syrup. I said syrup, and they were on my head the other day.
Because you said syrup?
I said syrup instead of syrup. How do you say it? Is it syrup?
I say syrup almost like it's a U.
I say syrup.
Well,
I don't know. Text lines, let us know. How do you say it?
But yeah, I feel like that was kind of the universe being like, You need to slow your roll. It's too early
What
for
you
pumpkin
mean?
spice. You know what I mean?
It's
I
too
felt like
early?
it was the universe telling me that I was rushing summer in a way that was a little rude.
You are aided though, Stacy, by your computer monitor blocking out.
I've lifted it to cover my shirt.
Oh, really? Pretty soon we're only going to see the top of your head.
You can, if you're watching on the stream, you can only see my head and my hat.
What's the dude from Home Improvement? The neighbor?
That's me.
Wilson.
'Cause I have coffee all over my shirt. I'll eventually lower it, I guess, one day. I don't know. I was thinking about that as I was coloring it in. I was like, now it's just coffee on a white shirt always makes you feel like you did something wrong that day, and it's the universe telling you that. But moving on, we're not talking nearly enough about Seattle's offense, and it makes sense because the entire narrative of the offseason was that the defense needs to be fixed and that you're bringing in a former defensive coordinator to do that. We have kind of, not intentionally, since we've still talked quite a bit about Ryan Grubb, but as a byproduct of the focus on the defense, focused on the defense over Grubb. Bump. Watching some of the offensive starters out there for the first time, in particular Geno, DK, a 5-pass, 4 of 5 completed drive that was aggressive and explosive and ended with a great touchdown, even in a tiny little glimpse against mostly backups, made me feel so excited because I just thought to myself, what if?
Yeah, the offense looked good with Geno in there. And his only incompletion was the very first play of the game. He threw an out route to DK. And the decision was fine. The decision was fine. He just missed DK a little bit. And I looked at the offense, and I felt like Grubb was like, look, Ken Walker ain't in there. Zach Charbonnet ain't in there. We're just going to throw the football. I want to see what my pass game looks like in a live situation on TV with my dogs in there, and it looked pretty good. Even some of the receivers who didn't get the football, there were a couple of times where Jake Bobo was wide open in the middle of the field, didn't get the ball. Geno went elsewhere, but you see the spacing and the concepts going on, and it makes sense. I was listening to the national ESPN radio, and they're talking about people are super excited about Grubb's offense. You know, oh, it's innovative. It's going to do this and do that. And then I go, man, that's crazy. That's 5 plays we saw with the ones in there, and people are this excited. So I go back again, and I'm looking at the offense, and I see some of the things that people are excited about, the condensed formations. There was some type of movement before every single play, whether it be the running back starting on one side of Geno, he's shifting them to the other side, whether it be Bobo and Russell being on one side and shifting to the other side. There was always something for the defense to think about before the ball was snapped, and I love that. So yeah, it looked sharp, man. I mean, that's 5 plays, right? In a game, you're going to play 72 to 75 plays, and there's going to be some ups and some downs. But for Geno and the offense to come out and look that sharp, it was definitely encouraging.
This wasn't the case on the touchdown to DK Metcalf. I didn't go back and check whether it was the case for a number of other drives, but Bucky Brooks took a look at Ryan Grubb's offense, and as part of a recent column he had for NFL Network's website, said, I wonder if Grubb is going to be the next OC we're talking about. And obviously it's just the way you talk in the preseason, right? What's new? What's exciting? Let's talk about it. But Bucky really liked that he was seeing a lot of condensed formations, bunch alignments, and stacked alignments. And again, not the case on the DK touchdown, but are you seeing a lot of that from Grubb?
I'm seeing Grubb be true to his UW roots. Now, his roots go deeper than UW, but that's where everyone here got an introduction to him. And his UW roots are, I'm always going to have someone cross in the middle of the field. I'm going to run RPO. He did run an RPO. That slanting with JSN was an RPO. And I am going to push the football down the field. What we didn't see with that first group was just the run game, obviously, because they didn't run the football at all.
Yeah.
So it's I put myself in Grubb's shoes, and I would imagine that having your ones out there, moving the football down the field is so validating. Like, of course, Grubb knows he belongs in this game. He's a great mind. He knows football. But you got to go out there and see it. You got to go out there and feel it. I remember every level I played at. I remember my first ever football game, my freshman year against St. Bernard's. I didn't get to play till the second half because I missed some practice because of soccer. And I'm a quarterback. I'm nervous as heck. I go, can I really play? Like, I've killed these guys in practice. Can I do it? Validation. You go out there and do your thing. My freshman year at WSU, my first start, I scored touchdown validation. Even in the NFL, I get into the preseason, my first catch, I go, okay, I can do this. You always believe in yourself, but you just have to see it and you have to feel it. So I would imagine Grubb is sitting there and he goes, oh, yeah, we're going to be cooking. Geno understands it. DK is getting open. Jason is making plays. I can't wait to see what it looks like when Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet line up in the backfield.
Let's talk specifically about Geno. It was our first time seeing Geno under center for Seattle in the preseason. Benjamin Solak we had on Friday. He's an NFL analyst for ESPN, and we asked him what he thought of Geno in general and what he saw from Geno last year.
The film last year on Geno, 2023, was not that dissimilar from the 2022 Geno film in terms of his individual quality of play. That was just a lot of what was around him was worse. And for whatever reason, we act in the NFL content space like we can't handle that reality, right? We're always jumping for like, oh, this guy's actually good, this guy's actually bad. That we always pretend like we can't adjust for context when we can, right? We definitely can. We want to jump to quarterback debates and quarterback controversies and camp battles when the reality is Geno's pretty good. And he was pretty good at 22 when there was some good circumstances around him, and he was pretty good in 23 when the circumstances around him were bad, and he was doing the best he could with what he got. So a little bit better offensive line play this year, a little bit clever stuff in terms of offensive design. And, hey, I think Geno's going to look just like we expect Geno to look.
Maybe I am just optimistic, but I agree with Benjamin Solak that last year there was important context around Geno, a banged-up offensive line that affected a run game, a bad defense that led to us not seeing the very best version of Geno. Do I think the very best version of Geno is a top-5 passer? No, I don't. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it can be an exciting offense. And I am hoping that this year Ryan Grubb is able to take advantage of those weapons, that the offensive line is healthy and maybe improves its performance above what our expectations are, because that's good for Geno. And I liked what I saw from Geno in 5 pass plays.
Yeah, he looks comfortable. I'm going to break down in depth a couple of plays to where I really see that he looks comfortable. And he looks like he is on the same page with his with his coordinator. His eyes are in the right place. His base is solid. He looks like he belongs. Where there were times last year where it felt like he was just struggling a little bit to let go of the football, anticipate some throws. He looks good, man. Again, 5 games against the backup defensive line for the Cleveland Browns. If Myles Garrett in the game was out there, I think we can learn a bit more from this. But just like we're talking about the Mariners taking care of business with the Giants, like you're supposed to do that. Geno was supposed to come out here and look like he is a quarterback or a starter in this league who understands this offense. So you did what you were supposed to do, and you got your ballers the football. DK had a reception. JSN had a couple. He slid in the pocket, dumped one off to McIntosh. He just looked good, man. So now rest up, start prepping for the Denver Broncos, and let's get after a rookie quarterback, please.
Tomorrow is roster cutdown day. The deadline to trim rosters to 53 men is at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Seahawks.com reporter John Boyle is going to join us in about 20 minutes. We've got some questions about what this roster could look like, who's on the verge of making or not making it. Before we get to that, though, really good news from one NFL analyst when it comes to the Seahawks. Namely, there's something we could be wrong about when it comes to the 49ers and Rams. The Seahawks just have to take advantage of it, though. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
He is our guy, John Morosi.
This has much more to do with the way the players have performed than Scott's acumen as a baseball manager or even Dan Wilson's potential as a baseball manager. This has everything to do with the inability of this group of hitters to make consistent, meaningful, hard contact against pitches in the strike zone. Period. That's really it. And once you've basically decided that you've seen that movie way too many times and that you just have to turn the page.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You gotta love baseball season, but when it comes to your windows, you don't want any curveballs. Rick Riz here, reminding you to trust your clubhouse with locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Experience the difference with high-quality products, expert installation, and top-notch customer service. It's always a home run with Pella. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Just go to PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
It's a summer smackdown at Muckleshoot Event Center. August 31st, Live MMA is back with the best and most exciting live combat in the Northwest. Glory, respect, legacy. It's all on the line August 31st. Get your tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com.
Muckleshoot. You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic Collector Car, Truck, and Boat Auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m., auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
We are Seattle Sports.
Brian Wu once again dominating on his home mound.
The home of the Mariners.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
I have a handful of stories that really affected me personally in my career and how I handle employees. Lee Johnson, coming out of his office as a customer, asked me where the service department is. I was like, yeah, go to the end of the hall, go up the stairs, go across the breezeway, open a door, go to the left, you want Chevy, go to the right, you want Mazda, because I didn't even have enough time to say, hey, what kind of car do you have? Here comes Lee, and it's like, oh, ma'am, come with me, let me show you. And then have him come back and not dress me down is just almost like with that fatherly disappointment of like, hey, that's not how we take care of people. I mean, the right way is to walk her down to the stairs, walk her up the stairs, open the door for her, go over, across the way, open up that door, introduce her to somebody. So she's comfortable, she's made it to the right place, and that we value the business. What you did was you made it seem like she was an inconvenience to you. Customers are the purpose of our day.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I spent the entire break reading about these stranded astronauts who Boeing insists are not stranded.
Their flight's
Stop saying
delayed.
they're stranded. They're not
Delayed.
stranded.
They're not stuck. We just need help getting them back.
We just can't get them down to Earth for 8 more months.
Yeah, but they're not stuck. They will be back. We just can't do that ourselves. I
Need
can't
help.
stop reading about it. There is good.
It's not funny, though.
It's not funny.
Okay.
It's not funny. I immediately was thinking, you have 2 astronauts, I'm sorry, Boeing, but stuck at the International Space Station with 7 other astronauts. And my immediate thought was, why aren't we doing why isn't this filmed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't we doing a real world situation?
It's filmed. They're just not releasing the footage.
Well, I'd be very curious to know what that culture is like up there. I'm just saying, I never miss an opportunity to pitch a reality show.
Well, imagine getting that news if you're one of the 2 astronauts being like, hey, so
you thought you would be there a week.
You're not going to be able to see your friends or family for 8 more months.
Yeah. Hi.
Hopefully they're getting overtime pay for that.
God.
8 months of overtime?
Benjamin Solak, ESPN NFL analyst, was on with us on Friday and had some good news. I'm going to consider it good news for the Seattle Seahawks, in that he has bad news about the 49ers and Rams. In both cases, the defense. Let's take a listen first to what he had to say about San Francisco.
I'm very happy to be fading San Francisco a little bit this year. That defense was bad down the stretch. BAD bad. Not, bad for the playoffs. Not, because they sent the other thing. No, not good. Really bad against the run. Against the pass, they have talent, but they're predictable, and they're relying on their pass rush. And every year they get a year older. Every year the pocketbook gets a little bit tighter as they have to pay more and more guys. We got a first-year DC, though, and Nick Sorensen now is a guy that they like, but we don't know much about him. Brandon Staley's on that staff to help with the defensive side of the ball. I don't think they're going to be too good on defense, to be honest. I think they'll be fine because they got Nick Bosa, and that kind of gives you a certain floor. But other than that, they don't scare me too much on that side of the ball.
I thought that was really interesting. I did a fantasy draft bump on Sunday, and the 49ers were the 3rd defense taken, which let me get the Jets, which was kind of nice. But I remember thinking so we're all still high on the 49ers. Is that fair? And then to Ben's point, and you've pointed this out before actually last year, they really struggled against the run late.
Yeah, they were struggling. The last 3 games of the season, they were bottom 6 when it comes to opponent yards per game. So there was some type of slip up there. What's hard for me is to believe that this coaching staff with the Niners, with KJ on that staff now too, are not going to look at what they did last year and try to correct some things. The good thing about this is that if they do struggle, obviously that helps the Seahawks and everyone else in the division. And I believe they have the Jets week 1, right? So you're going to see this defense against what could be a potent offense fairly quickly and see where they stand. But, man, they still got Fred Warner over there. They still got Nick Bosa. I believe Hufunga's coming back from his injury last year. It's just like how I talked about Grubb. I believe in his offense, but I still want to see it. It's the same thing with his defense. I believe that they could be on the back 9, but I still got to see them come out and just look like garbage before I'm willing to say, yeah, they're not it. Because we talked about how Geno could be so much better if he's supported by a great defense. Why do you think Brock Purdy's played so well? Because he's felt like this defense is always going to have his back. So they might have stumbled towards the end of the season, but I'm looking at them on paper, and I still look at a defense that has the potential to be a top 8 to 10 defense in the league. And I think with the offense that the 49ers have, that's really all you need, because Purdy and Debo and Ayuk, if he's there, and George Kittle, all these guys are going to relieve some of the stress for this defense.
Let's go look at the Rams. Here's what Ben said.
With the Rams, listen, I think the offense is going to be incredible. Defensively, Aaron Donald left, and we're kind of all just going, they'll be fine. I don't know, man. Not Aaron Donald and Raheem Morris left, right? So again, we have a first-time defensive coordinator there, and Chris Shula, who came up in their coaching ranks, dealing with a defense in Los Angeles that for the first time in a decade doesn't have Aaron Donald, and they've done what they can to prepare for his departure. Kobe Turner and the drafting of Braden Fisk and Jaden Verse. But, everybody, rookies are not sure things. Young players are not sure things. Development is not linear. You can't just replace Aaron Donald in the aggregate. This is not Moneyball. And so I think defensively, just like the 49ers, I think the Rams are in line for a pretty substantial step back. I don't think it's going to be good on that side of the ball.
It's been a long time since we've seen a Rams defense for an extended period of time without Aaron Donald, and especially a Rams defense as young as this one without Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I think that has to be a fair take. You don't lose one of the greatest to ever do it and just bounce back. And even last year, overall, they were 18th when it comes to giving up yards per game. So they were on the decline a bit, and with Aaron Donald, you expect a bit more of a decline. I think that's fair, and that's good, again, for the division. One less person for this division to worry about. And but what do the Rams have? They have an offense. You can't be great at both. unless you were the 49ers a couple years ago where that offense on point, defense is on point. Every now and then Baltimore's offense and defense sync up. But it's rare that you have teams that are top 5 in both categories when it comes to total offense and total defense. So one side has to pick up the slack. I think the Rams can do that. This is the hardest part of the season because we are looking towards what could be with these football teams. The 49ers could slip up a little bit defensively. The Rams, we expect to slip up defensively. The Seahawks, we expect them to get better defensively. It could help the offense. There's so many scenarios that can go down, but what affects this? You just mentioned a new coordinator with the LA Rams. You mentioned, or we didn't mention, but Cooper Kupp, how healthy is he going to be coming back? Puka Nacua, can he do it again? My son was talking to me about the best receivers in the game. He goes, Puka Nacua. I go, yeah, he had himself a historic first year. But I go, who was missing? My son, Michael, who was missing the first few games of the year? He goes, Cooper Kupp. I go, exactly. So that affects who he is in this offense. How is it going to look with both these guys out there? You would assume it's going to be all good, but you still got to see it. That's why I love watching film. That's why I sit there for hours and hours and just watch film because speculation is great. Personnel is great. You still got to go out there and play ball. That's why I look at the Seattle Seahawks and I go, who knows? These guys could get second in this division if the Rams don't look good defensively, if the 49ers don't get Brandon Ayuk and they struggle offensively and don't get the play that they're used to having on defense. It's all up in the air right now. I'm all for some takes, though, man.
Well, and it's about taking advantage of it. The second half of this kind of point is you can't just count on other teams to struggle. You also need to improve. Mariners. If you're looking at the Seahawks, you can look at the 49ers, who are just statistically probable to have some regression from what they were. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen. It just means they were one of the healthiest teams last year, one of the most successful teams on offense, and it's just very hard to have luck on your side all the time. Meanwhile, with the Rams, you already covered all the bases there in terms of missing Aaron Donald and having a young team and some new coordinators. You can look at them and go, they may statistically regress. They may struggle. You have to uphold your end of the bargain and improve. And ultimately, that's what you control, right? And we have seen this past MLB season, TBD how it's going to end, a weakened AL West, where after back-to-back years of World Series champs coming from this division, you then had both of them struggling at one point, both 10 or more games back from Seattle. Seattle couldn't take advantage. Can the Seahawks? So
yes.
I hope
yes,
so.
They can. Come on.
I hope so. I mean, look, we saw more offense in one quarter from Seattle than we have for a lot of the Mariners. So let's hope that they can take some steps forward offensively and defensively and take advantage of what may be an evening division after a while here. Seahawks.com reporter John Boyle joining us next. We're going to talk about roster cutdown. We are just over 24 hours away.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper. What kind of manager do you want to be?
Having a good relationship with the clubhouse is huge and really help to support the players. And, we want to be in it with them on a daily basis. In some ways, too, it's about getting out of the way. I mean, these guys are good players. These guys are the best players in the world at what they do. And so it's giving them what they need, but then allowing them the space and the creativity and the individuality to go out and do their job. The baseball season is a grind. There's no question. You have to ride that balance.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Two things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV. Choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now, they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
Sure, you can fill up at any gas station, but at any gas station, could you score 2 tickets to a Seahawks game? Sure can't. So head to a 76 or Conoco station and turn your next pit stop into a touchdown. When you buy 8 or more gallons with the Fuel Forward app, you can enter to win 2 Seahawks tickets. Next stop, Lumen Field. See official rules for details. Valid July 29th to December 15th, 2024. Copyright 2024 Phillips 66 Company. All rights reserved.
Did you know about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? You can get an $80 benefit card to spend at local farmers markets. Use it to buy seasonal fruits, vegetables, and honey. Just bring your new SFMNP card with you when you shop. When you make a purchase, the grower will scan your card. Then you'll confirm the purchase with your PIN.
You're all set. Enjoy those tomatoes.
Thank you, I will. Find participating markets, local contacts, and more info at seniorfmnp.com. That's seniorfmnp.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Seattle is home to Swedish CyberKnife, a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. Swedish CyberKnife is the only CyberKnife center in the Pacific Northwest. Compared with other radiation treatments, which can last 6 to 9 weeks, CyberKnife treatment is much shorter, typically 5 days or less. CyberKnife advanced robotic technology can track your slightest body movement, adjusting in real time to deliver radiation with extreme accuracy, sparing healthy tissue. The vast majority of patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. CyberKnife offers curative cancer treatment while minimizing side effects and disruption to a patient's life. The experienced CyberKnife team has helped advance the field with research, protocols, and published findings. Swedish CyberKnife treats patients from all over Washington state. If you, a friend, or family member is diagnosed with prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college, but I need to watch the budget.
Well, Staples hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices won't be beat.
Great. I can't believe my baby's starting college.
She'll do great.
I know.
Oh, let's get you a great deal on a laptop.
Save big on tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. Ends 8/31. Price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
For unmatched service, great selection, and transparent pricing, I recommend Chevrolet of Everett, part of the Harnish Auto family. Enjoy lifetime oil changes and warranty as part of their better experience. And tell them Brock sent you. Visit ChevroletofEverett.com.
I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases. I've found that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike 3, and the ball game is over. The Mariners hang on and win it this afternoon.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Some breaking news 1 minute ago from NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. The Cowboys and All-Pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb agreed on a 4-year, $136 million extension with $100 million guaranteed, including a wide receiver record $38 million signing bonus. This deal makes Lamb the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, $136 million in that total, coming just shy of $140 owned by Justin Jefferson.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio
This is Bump and Stacy.
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross. Here we go now.
Seahawks have wrapped up their preseason, now have some important decisions to make. So let's talk about both. With Seahawks.com's John Boyle, he joins us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, John, how's it going?
It's going good, Stacey. How are you doing?
Good. We have a 2-1 record under new head coach Mike Macdonald in the preseason. Obviously, wins and losses don't count, but some observations do. John, if you were to think of a word, phrase, description of some kind to explain what the preseason looked like to you under a new head coach, what would you describe it as?
I don't know, maybe say encouraging. Okay. I like a lot of the different things we saw. As you said, the wins and losses don't really matter much, but I think what we saw out of the defense, knowing that it was probably a very vanilla version of what they run the season, there was some really good stuff out of the defense. They just looked, they looked like they were fitting runs better. The coverages looked better. I mean, it just looked like a, more solid defense than what we've seen in recent years. And then, we barely saw the starting offense, but what we did see sure looks great. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of positives. And I guess when you're winning preseason games, too, that generally tends to speak to your depth because, your second, third teams are getting tested, and they won 2 of those games.
And Boyle, obviously the preseason is big for these players, but especially for this coaching staff, it was big for them. I would imagine Grubb having the ones out there made him not open up the playbook, I guess, a bit more because it's preseason, but a bit more comfortable calling plays out there. Did he get any kind of vibe from Grubb and how he felt having Geno and the ones out there?
I mean, we haven't heard from Ryan Grubb since that game, but I will say, I think, to your point about the coaching staff, this is Ryan Grubb's first time doing this at the NFL level, at least. It's, Mike Macdonald's first time going through everything that being the head coach encompasses in game. So I think there's a lot of value in these preseason games just for these guys to go through it all the first time and just, the mechanics of it, just all the different situations, 2-minute stuff, all the different stuff they had to get through in game. So that, to me, there's a lot of value for the coaching staff, just a first-time staff doing it all together.
We already know who the top 3 wide receivers are going to be, and I'd throw Jake Bobo in there. So let's just say we know what the top 4 is going to look like. Really interesting battle late, though, in this group. Is there a player or two in that wide receiver battle that, to you, John, helped make his case the most this preseason?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of the probably deeper position groups we've seen. There's a lot of really good players in there. I think those 4 you mentioned are pretty safe. I'd say Laviska Shenault really helped himself. I mean, they brought him in large part for his return ability, and he looked really good doing that. But also just special teams in general. I think he had a tackle in coverage the other day. Some good blocks when D. Williams has been returning. So I think he's, not a ironclad lock, but I sure like his chances to be on the team. But yeah, I mean, we saw D'Eskridge obviously helped himself. Was that enough with the punt return? I don't know. It's always tricky with these bottom of the roster spots because we just don't know exactly how they view the, everything these guys do on special teams. Because realistically, your 5th, your 6th receiver, if you keep 6, it's not so much about being the 5th or 6th best receiver necessarily, but a guy who can do more on special teams.
Yeah, I was happy for D'Eskridge. I'm happy for Kenny McIntosh, too, man. 1 carry for 56 yards. We've been waiting on this for a while, Boyle. It's nice to see him do his thing. What do you think the chances are that he's that third running back? Me personally, I'm hoping that he's in that room. I think he deserves it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably done enough to secure that spot. You could certainly keep 4 of them, too, with George Holani. We'll see. It's a new coaching staff. We don't necessarily know how they, want to construct the roster compared to what we've seen in the past, but certainly keeping 4 running backs is not unheard of for NFL teams. And, again, it's probably going to come down to special teams in some regards. But, yeah, Kenny McIntosh, this preseason has been great for him to, you remember he missed all of this last year because he hurt his knee in that mock game at Lumen Field last year and wasn't able to get a preseason. It really kind of set his season back. He did make it back, but he never really had much of an impact. So good to see him get going. I mean, he's a really good running back, good pass catcher. I do think he can help this offense for sure.
Geno Nwosu was forced out of this game with what looked like a knee injury and didn't return. What did Mike Macdonald have to say about his pass rusher after the game? And, John, what kind of depth are we looking at with this group if Uchenna does miss time?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know a lot. We just, Mike Macdonald basically said that it's a knee and they don't really have a lot of details. So hard to say, is he back for the opener? Is he missing some time? We don't know yet. I'm guessing we'll get an update at some point in camp, or this week, I should say. But depth-wise, I mean, they did trade Darrell Taylor, but then they went and made a trade today to add a player at that position as well. So I think they're kind of, Chenna's one of their best players on defense. You're going to miss him if he does miss any time. Again, I'm not saying he will. I don't know that. But if he does, we saw last year, how valuable he was when he's not on the field. It really hurt them. So, Derek Hall's looked really good. I think him stepping up and looking like he can do more is a big boost for that position group. Short term, I think they'd be okay getting by if they had to go a little bit without Chenna, but they certainly don't want to go any significant amount of time without him. And, he's just such a big player for them.
Hey, Boyle, we saw Oluwatimi go out there with the ones. I would assume that's because they're taking it easy with Connor Williams. Should we expect Connor Williams just to be the guy week one, or do you think they'll work him in slowly and let Oluwatimi kind of get these reps?
I mean, we got to see. We'll hear. I'm sure that Mike McDonald will be asked about that this week. But yeah, I think that was the goal all along when they brought Connor Williams in, was to be the guy who can go week one. But you don't want to rush it. I mean, he's coming off an ACL. He has, just really got back to practicing a little bit this past week and wasn't even a full go then. So, it's a decision where if he's ready to go, I think they'd love to see him out there, but they're not going to rush it and risk, step back. Because it's not just, even if the ACL is fully healed, you're looking at, okay, has he had enough just work to build up the fitness to be out there playing every down? So we'll see what they do with that. It's nice to have a guy like Olu who they like a lot. He started some games last year. He's been with the ones throughout this camp. So you don't feel like you have to rush Connor Williams back if he's not just quite physically ready to go.
Hey, John, I asked this next question knowing that sometimes we've had rookie classes with really important contributors that were just kind of slow to get started, and other times we have rookie classes where everyone's talking about one or two guys. Like I remember DK's rookie class, we were all talking about DK in training camp. It was a little quieter for Devin, who I think dealt with an injury to start the season. From this rookie class, when you think back to the start of even off-season programs, but certainly in training camp and the preseason game, is there a name or two that you've just thought, man, he's really done a lot for himself?
Well, I mean, the real obvious one is Byron Murphy, and you would hope that he's your first round pick, and a guy they're very excited about. But he's, ever since pads went on, that whatever it was, 5 days in the camp, he's just looked so good out there. He's, just so quick off the ball. He shows power. So, he's the guy that you would expect to have the impact right away for sure. Tyrese Knight's been the guy that, with the time that Jerome Baker has missed, he's looked more and more comfortable in that starting role. And I do think he's got, we'll see, they're hoping to get Baker back soon, but I think they would feel pretty comfortable putting Knight out there if they'd have to. He's, got a ton of work in these preseason games and just looks like he's picking things up. So he's a guy that, whether he starts or not week one, we'll have to see. That'll depend on health, but he's a guy that could help them a lot. And then obviously the battle at right guard, we don't know who's going to start there, but Christian Haynes has done enough in camp to be in that battle, and he's showed some versatility playing left and right guard both. So, whether he starts or not right away, we'll have to see, but he's a guy that, has certainly helped himself this camp.
Hey, boy, there are some guys that no matter how well they play, they're probably not going to make the team just off of numbers, right? And P.J. Walker is obviously that guy for me. It's like, all right, well, they're going to carry two quarterbacks. I don't see them carrying three. What did you make of his preseason? You think another team is going to pick up P.J. Walker?
We'll see. I mean, he did some – I think he looked better in practice a lot of times and maybe what he's able to show in the games. And those preseason games are always tough when you get into the further, the depth, because he's playing with guys that, maybe don't have a lot of experience. Maybe there's some guys who are newer to the team being thrown out there. So, but he did some really good things in that first game. He did some good things in practice. So, to me, he'd be a great, if they only do want to carry two quarterbacks, he'd be a great practice squad guy to add some veteran experience to that room as well. But yeah, I mean, you never know what teams' needs are going to be in terms of who's going to get claimed, who's going to get snapped up. But, you got to look at sometimes with the guys like, okay, when was he signed? Just availability. If he was out there available when the Seahawks brought him in kind of later in the process, that might indicate how much demand there would be for him if you let him go. But I do think, whether it's him or if some other team did want to claim him, they would want a third quarterback, at least on the practice squad, should they elect to just do two on the 53.
Seattle's still making some moves, acquiring linebackers. Obviously, the most recent is probably to add depth behind Uchenna as opposed to inside linebacker. But does this as a whole feel like a position group they're still kind of ironing out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think at full strength they feel pretty good about it, but injuries have just been a little bit of a concern at both positions now. Off ball, it was, Radigan missing time. Obviously, Jerome Baker's missed time, but with the outside group's been pretty healthy until Uchenna's injury. But yeah, I think we've seen them address both those positions in the last week, so that shows that they're still looking to sort things out. And obviously, as John Schneider always says, it's a never-ending process trying to get the roster done. So they're going to be looking at, I'm sure they're talking to teams now about guys, and I'm sure when guys are getting cut, they're going to be checking the waiver wire. Is there anybody that can help them? But yeah, I mean, I think they like what they have at those positions, but could they get deeper? Probably.
Boy, you were around Pete Carroll for a long time covering this team and watching just how he maneuvered through every phase of a football season, right? Starting with the draft and OTAs and training camp and all that good stuff. How would you assess the way McDonald has handled all this his first time out there? I mean, I would assume he leaned on Leslie Frazier for some advice during this whole thing, but just overall, how would you grade out Mike McDonald and the way he's handled things so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's sure from what we can see, it sure seems like he's handling it really well. I mean, he seems very comfortable in this role. It doesn't, there hasn't been any moment where it seems like he's surprised by things or overwhelmed or anything. I mean, it's, as Pete Carroll, since you mentioned him, he used to always say that, with this job, until you've done this job, you don't know what all it entails. So everything's going to be new to Mike McDonald, but he just seems like a guy who's, really calm and collected and so football savvy that, despite his age, and inexperience as a head coach, he sure seems to be handling everything really well. But your point of Leslie Frazier, I think that's a great resource for Mike McDonald, and he's talked about him a bunch of what Leslie's meant to him and having him around, just to bounce ideas off of and have a guy that's been through so much in the NFL and who's been the head coach to be a great resource.
You've seen 3 Seahawks games now with the new kickoff format. What do you make of it, having kind of seen it through the preseason now?
I mean, I really like it just because it makes the kickoff relevant again. I mean, for so long, it's like, one team scores, you can go take a break, grab a snack, take a bathroom break, and if you miss the kickoff, who cares? Because it's just going to be a touchback. And now it's potentially an exciting play. We've seen a couple big returns. We'll see how it develops. I don't know if teams are going to figure out how to cover it really well and it'll get less exciting, or if teams are going to decide it's too hard to cover and just take the touchback in the 30 more often. We'll have to see what happens once it gets to regular season and teams are doing it for real. But I do like the idea of making it a more interesting play, and gets more players involved. It creates roles for a guy like Laviska Shenault or a guy like D. Williams, who may not have as much of a role than if that play does become a regular, exciting play for guys returning and all that. So we'll see how it evolves, but I like it, and obviously the safety side of it's good too. If you can reduce concussions or other injuries, that's a good thing as well.
Hey, who's a coach that you feel like has had a bigger impact than what he gets credit for? Because obviously we're going to look at McDonald, Grubb, 80 as well, and then throw Leslie in there just because he's been around for a while. Is there a coach that you feel like is playing a bigger role in developing the culture, this intensity when it comes to this ball club that doesn't get a lot of recognition?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, obviously those guys you mentioned are all going to have the biggest hand in it, but I'd say maybe a Carl Scott, because he's the one guy that's the holdover, so he kind of can help connect the new coaching staff to the guys on defense that were around the last couple of years. And also, I just think I think there's a reason he's the one guy that was retained from the previous coaching staff that they didn't want to let go. He's just a really just a good football coach, but B, he's really good with the players. A guy that I certainly could see climbing the coaching ranks here in the next few years, especially if this defense as a whole can do some really good things under Mike McDonald. So, yeah, I'd point to him probably. But, yeah, I mean, there's so many of these guys. There's a reason you have all these coaches here. They're all going to have their role. On the offensive side of the ball, you're expecting the offensive line to be a tone setter. So you want Scott Huff to get that group going, and he seems to be doing a really good job there as well.
He is Seahawks.com reporter John Boyle. Read his work at Seahawks.com. Of course, keep an eye out for tomorrow's roster cutdown. Thanks so much, John.
Boyle.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
See ya. Let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, what did the defense look like when the starters were in?
I've never been more excited for like 10 plays in my life. Never been more excited. Even my boys were excited too. I had homies who were at the game, and they're like, man, those starters look good. They're out, so now I'm leaving. I'm going to the bar now. I saw enough. Okay, good for you. But no, watching the game live, it felt good. And then going back and watching film, it looked even better. I'm going to start with the safeties. Ryan Walters and Paul Moyer, Big Ray, we talk about the safeties, how they're going to be used. And Brian and I were on the side like, look, they're going to drop J Love into the box, and they're going to allow him to make some plays and make some tackles. Moyer was kind of like, no, I think they're going to use Spoon in a spot like that. And we're going back and forth, and we're speculating. And I saw a little bit of everything. But I love that the very first play, J Love in the box, boom, he's in the backfield, he makes a play. You go 2 plays later, Wallace is in the box, boom, he forces a play. And then you look at D Spoon, and they try to throw a slant his way, and he is sticky as heck. And then I look at the second level, I'm looking at Dotson. Baker has been claimed to have great cover skills. I'm looking at Dotson, he's flipping those hips, dropping into the middle of the field, and it looked different. Bobby, one of the greatest to do it of all time towards the end of his career, just didn't look like that. Yeah, Jordan, who was here, who was good in coverage, especially coming out of Texas Tech, where they let him just roam and fly around. He just didn't look like that. Yes, it was against the Cleveland Browns, and it was their twos, but the way these guys were flying around was extremely encouraging, man. And then Dotson almost had a pick as well. So I looked at every level, right? And then I look at the interior linemen with Jay Reed and Big Cat. I believe Jay Reed got into the backfield, got half a sack. Cat might have got the other one. And every level made a play in like 10 plays. So I saw what I needed to see. A team that was flying around to the football, who played with some intensity. It was fun to watch. Unfortunately, Chenna goes down with that injury. Hopefully he's all right, but it looked good, man. It was fun to watch those guys for 10, 11 plays.
It's been a long time since I've been this excited for the start of the regular season for the Seahawks. Not that I don't always really enjoy watching the start of the football season and watching this team, but you knew what to expect with Pete Carroll. Like, you didn't always know what the outcomes would be, but you knew exactly the team you wanted to be, what his defense and offense would ideally for him look like. I have so little clue of what to truly expect with this team. I'm thinking of week 1 as like the starters coming back out for the second quarter. Like, wow, really? More? We get even in the third quarter, they're still out there? Are you kidding me? Second down. What did you love about JSN's big reception from Geno?
Man, I loved it. The first thing I saw was there was some motion there, right? You start Jake Bobo on one side, you motion him over to the other side. You got a player who runs with Jake Bobo. That tells Geno, okay, there and man. Geno looks at the one high safety. He looks to his right. He has JSN in the slot. DK to his right side. He gives him a little signal. You look at JSN. He signals to DK, the same signal. So Geno got to the line of scrimmage and said, oh, there, man, I'm getting out of this play. We're going to take our shot right now. That's exactly what happened. DK ends up running a hitch, cannot convert it because inside JSN has a spray fade, which essentially means he's running a fade, but he has the whole outside to work with. Since DK's running a hitch, he vacates all of that space. He can get wide and work towards the line of scrimmage. The procedure was on point. The motion from right to left. Geno sees that there and man. He signals to the right side. Let's get out of this and run this little spray fade. And then boom, you execute it, and Geno drops a dime over Jason's shoulder. The procedure and the execution was just on point. Geno's locked in. These guys are communicating. It was fun to see.
Third down. What's something the Seahawks offense is always going to be prepared for?
For the blitz. I'm looking at Ryan Grubb, one drive with the ones. But every time they felt pressure, there was a route built in that automatically presented themselves as a hot. Even that play I just broke down with JSN running that fade, you had Jake Bobo running the shallow cross going across the middle of the field. Geno gets pressure to the right side or from the right side of the line of scrimmage. The offensive linemen, they fan out. Who's going right to that spot? It's Jake Bobo. You watch this offense operate, and I think the more and more plays we see out of them, we're going to see built-in hot routes, and that is essential because there were times when Russ was over here as a quarterback. I'll never forget. Remember that game against Arizona? You're at Arizona, they're wearing the gray uniforms, and it's late in the game, and Arizona shows an all-out blitz. They are sending everybody, and Tyler Lockett is in the slot. And my rule growing up, and what I teach my guys, man, you got two guys off the edge, boom, you flash, you look hot, you get the football, you're running into that vacant area. They didn't do that. and they showed it twice. And then the last time they did it, they drop into coverage. You try to hit the seam, and bam, it's an interception. So I'm looking at Grubb's offense, and he always has an outlet for your quarterback. Most offenses do, but at times it seemed like the Hawks weren't great at picking that kind of stuff up. Bubble was wide open. He could have ran for about 20, 30 yards, but he threw it to JSN. I'm all right with that. Built in hot. And also, I saw the RPO, that slant to JSN. Beautiful RPO. You got two guys rushing off the edge, a linebacker and an edge rusher. JSN is running the slant. You fake the zone. You look at the offensive linemen. They do a great job of not getting too far down the field. Bam. We saw, 5 plays, and we saw motions. We saw a shot down the field. We saw an RPO. We saw Geno move inside the pocket, dump into Kenny Washington. Best 5 plays I've seen in football history, Stacey. Best 5 I've ever seen.
4th down. Who's your dark horse to make the team when cuts are made?
Man, I got a few. I started off with one, but I got a few.
Dark horses.
Dark horses. That's what it's called,
Who are
right?
your dark horses?
Oh, my dark horses.
Yeah.
My man D. Eskridge. Come on, D. Come on, D.
I knew it.
You knew when he took that 79-yarder to the house. I know y'all was thinking about me.
I was.
I know you were for sure because Curtis texted and said, "Congratulations, your stepson just made a play."
Your adult son, D. Eskridge.
And I'm standing up there in the press box. The press box was super loud. Cleveland, etiquette, please. It was so loud in that dang press box. It was like a Friday night at Monroe High School. It was crazy. I was looking back at Big Ray like, these people are so dang loud. Anyway, so D. Eskridge, obviously, I got to throw him out there. But my real ones, I'm looking at Russell. I think Russell's going to make this team. Tight end number 38, 6'3", 200-something pounds. He is great in the run game. And I think there's going to be a time where you need a true fullback. He can be the Nick Bellore. He can be the guy that plays multiple positions. You can line him up at tight end. You can line him up at fullback. He might even be able to play linebacker if you need him. Then the other one is Patrick O'Connell, man, the kid out of Montana. I really like what he's done so far. I don't know if he'll make the active roster, but if they can slip him on a practice squad, I think that's the guy that you need on your squad. So those are my 3. I'm looking at O'Connell, Russell, D. Eskridge. He took one to the house. If he does not get picked up, that just tells me, or signed by this team, that just tells me that he's not picking up the playbook, and there's something else going on at the receiver position. But as a returner, he showed, look, I can do this. I haven't seen a punt return to the house in Lumen in a very long time. That was fun to watch.
When was the last? Was it Travis Homer's punt return touchdown?
That was kick return, wasn't it? It was like an onside kick.
Return?
I think he scooped.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. That was the last, though, like any special teams that I can think of.
I think you got to go back to Tyler Lockett back in his early days.
God,
or
really?
Leon.
I remember times it's been done too, Seattle. Not that the Seahawks haven't been a great team for a decade, but those are just the ones that stand out to me. Bump mentioned the practice squad. I keep reminding you guys that the final roster cutdown is tomorrow. There's still a lot of moves that we're going to be tracking as the week goes on because waivers close the following 24 hours after that. So we'll learn about who's on the practice squad officially, outside of just leaks, the following day. So Tuesday's a huge day. Wednesday's a huge day. Then you're watching Thursday to see if other moves are made or other claims are put out there. So this is a big next couple days in terms of what this team is going to look like to start the season. You're listening to Bump and Stacey on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Deion Sanders is back at it again with the Denver media. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper. What kind of manager do you want to be?
Having a good relationship with the clubhouse is huge and really help to support the players. And, we want to be in it with them on a daily basis. In some ways, too, it's about getting out of the way. I mean, these guys are good players. These guys are the best players in the world at what they do. And so it's giving them what they need, but then allowing them the space and the creativity and the individuality to go out and do their job. The baseball season is a grind. There's no question. You have to ride that balance.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions. You name it, these are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn. Wayscarford.com.
Having quality care matters. So, let's talk about it. Nobody likes not feeling their best, but it's comforting to know top local doctors are nearby when you need one. Optum Care Washington is here with exceptional primary and specialty care, from OBGYN and family medicine to urology and gastroenterology. We also accept most Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, with over 45 Puget Sound locations, Optum offers peace of mind close to school, work, and home. Discover all the ways Optum is here for you at yourhealthwa.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
This is Seattle Sports.
Going for DK Metcalf. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
The home of the Seahawks.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells you that our patients are really seeing results. Here's what some of them are saying. The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast was by far the best. The other places wouldn't give me any information over the phone, but West Coast answered all of my questions. My wife and I were skeptical, but we've already noticed the difference. This was a game changer for us. West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men reverse their ED using acoustic wave therapy. No pills or shots necessary. Give us a call today so we can help you too.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is the timeline on Bump and Stacy, reading you the top stories you're going to see and hear about on your own timeline. Now, if you've been listening to the show regularly, you know that our 11:30 timeline segment has previously included Deion Sanders' battles with media. Previously, he was upset with a CBS Denver reporter for what a CBS national reporter had written, predicting that Colorado was one of the worst teams in its conference. Fair. But Deion wasn't happy about it. And you know what? He actually did that fairly respectfully, telling the reporter, I know it's not you. It's not about you. Respect you as a man. I just don't mess with CBS Sports. So I couldn't even judge it that hard because I appreciated how he handled it. But then, Bump, I saw over the weekend this article, and it was Deion Sanders back at it again with Denver media. He's refusing to take questions from a Denver Post columnist named Sean Keeler going forward with what he's deemed as personal attacks. And Bump, when I saw that headline and I saw that description, I was like, really, Deion? What did he do? Say that your program needed to be a little bit better? Say that you guys wouldn't be one of the best teams? Say that you'd have some obstacles in your way? Like, how did he hurt your feelings, Deion? Then Bump, I kept reading. Apparently, this writer has personally attacked Sanders with some of the following phrases: false prophet, deposition Deion, Planet Prime, the Bruce Lee of BS, the Deion Kool-Aid, and called his program a circus. I gotta be real. That's personal.
That's the problem there. You cannot cross a line where it gets personal. It's kind of like, well, me and my boys, we'll talk crap about each other all day. But as soon as it gets personal, well, actually, we don't go there because we know the line you can't cross. It's the same thing with reporting. You can speak on facts. Like, all those are opinions right now. False prophet, Bruce Lee of whatever the heck. All that is an opinion that attacks who he is as a person and how he runs his program. If he's talking about how Sanders got sacked 100 times last year, and how he might have held on to the football a couple times last year, how Travis Hunter is getting too many plays on offense, on defense. Can he withstand that throughout a football season? That is different. But once you start talking about a man, his character, how he runs things, you better be prepared for some backlash, especially if you are talking about Deion Sanders, who don't care about you and how you feel. As soon as you cross that line with him, he's going to either cross it with you or just shun you and never respond to you again, because he has that type of power. So, yeah, I was with you. At first, I'm listening to the overall story, and I go, come on, Deion, man.
Come on, man.
But then as we're reading and looking at the comments, I go, yeah, I feel some type of way, too.
Yeah, I would, too. If you called me, if a reporter called me the Bruce Lee of BS, first of all, great nickname.
That's
Secondly, I would take it personally. I'd be like, oh, you don't like me. Like, this is a personal attack on me. This isn't you saying, like, I'm questioning whether Stacey's limited coaching experience can have her take this team with limited talent all the way. Fine. Fair game. Bruce Lee a BS, calling what I have a circus, calling me that I think I'm a false prophet. Like, these are personal attacks. And here's the thing. If you are going to make those attacks, and I don't actually know how Sean Keeler responded, but if you are going to make those attacks on someone, you as a reporter need to know that coach, that player, that person has every right to not like you. And you need to not immediately be like, what's your problem, man? Oh, I'm just writing. You take it.
Where's it? This reporter's from Denver, correct?
He's a Denver Post columnist.
And it's local. And as a reporter, you got to deal with this man during the football season, even during the offseason, on a weekly basis. And you're going to ask questions. You're going to ask for information. You have to maintain a professional type of relationship. Once you cross those lines, it's all bad. 2
weeks ago, this was an exchange Deion had with this reporter.
Coach Sean Keeler, the Denver Post. Happy summer, my man.
You don't like us, man. Why do you do this to yourself?
Come on.
You don't like us.
Mark likes me, by the way. Huh? Yeah. Mark said he likes me.
No,
so
but
that's one.
You don't. Why do you do this, though?
No, I'm sorry. Two-parter, if I could.
No, I'm serious. Why do you do this? Like, you don't. Like, why do you do this?
No, it's not about that. Football question. Question.
Why do you do this? Like, it would be hard for me to really engage in someone I don't like or something I don't like. I'm just asking why. Like, why?
Gotta pay
What
bills,
did I do?
You didn't do anything. It's not about that. This is a football question.
I'm asking you why.
Yeah, you can answer. That's
okay,
not
answer me.
Because
you want me to answer you. So
okay, that's fine. That's fair.
Why?
Why? Because I have questions.
Give me your
why. What's your why? What do you want to know?
Why do you always on attack? Like, what did we do?
Where am I on attack today? Where am I on attack?
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you opportunities to be on attack.
That is a grown man confronting a grown man and being like, look, don't come at me with this fake happy summer, Deion, when just on Tuesday you were calling me the BS or whatever the heck. Like, no, just because it ain't Tuesday no more don't mean I don't remember what happened on Tuesday. And I appreciate that about Deion, man. You can say what you want about him. I hope he has all the success in the world over there. I know it's going to be tough for him, but one thing for sure about Deion, he will let you know exactly how he feels about you, and he is not going to hide it. And even the guy's response, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? His voice, you know dang well what's up. Don't act like you didn't write that stuff. And this is the age of the internet, sir. It's floating around forever. So I appreciate Deion for that, man. Call him out, grown man style. He ain't yelling. He's not hollering. He's saying, what's up, man? Just be real with me. Why do you do this?
I'm going to be real. Deion seems like the kind of person that if that reporter would have been like, frankly, no, I don't particularly like you.
Yeah.
I think he would have respected it.
Most definitely.
I think he would have been like, I actually thank you for the honesty. I can respect you saying that to my face.
Yep.
I don't respect you lying to my face. Paul Feinbaum has a problem with it.
Coach Prime is showing he is not ready for prime time, Greeny. I find this whole thing to be disgraceful. Deion may want to talk about love and joy, and that's been the cornerstone of what he seems to be spewing out. But treating reporters like this seems like we're in some autocratic country. This is not America, and the fact that it's in his contract is really even more absurd. But don't forget, he did this at Jackson State. This is a trait of Deion Sanders. He wants to have it his way, and I find him to be a bully and a hypocrite. And quite frankly, as someone who has been a fan of his throughout his entire career, even at Colorado, I am mortified by his actions.
Respectfully to Paul Feinbaum, I don't know that I would compare Deion Sanders' dislike and distaste of a local reporter to countries where journalists are persecuted. But that being said, Bump, what did you make of Paul's take?
Paul, you know dang well you don't support nothing that's out the SEC.
No.
How many times did Nick Saban snap at reporters? I guarantee you Feinbaum and say nothing about that. And Deion did it in a way that Nick Saban wouldn't have done it. Granted, Nick Saban is the GOAT and he can move differently.
Yep.
We all understand that and acknowledge that. But what did Deion do? Treat him like what? Like a human being that has to answer for stuff that he puts out there about another man? Look, man, Feinbaum's an OG in the game, and he'll be around for a long time. But his bias is getting out of control when it comes to this. What is wrong with Deion confronting someone that said something about him that he did not agree with in a manner which was not aggressive?
No.
Like, let the man call another man out. You weren't tripping when this guy was making all these or saying all these things about Deion. Even if he thinks that they are true, which he obviously thinks they are true, having to answer for that, I don't see anything wrong with that. Deion has to answer for a call on fourth down where he should have punted it and he goes for it. He has to answer for bringing a kid out the game and scolding him on the sideline. The bias is nuts right now.
All right, let's get to one more story before we hit break here. From WFAA, 15 members of the Chargers team, the traveling party, they were in a hotel in Dallas for that preseason game, got stuck in an elevator for almost 2 hours. They had to be rescued. The rescue, according to WFAA, happened after an elevator technician was unable to get the car moving. So they had to open up a ceiling panel. Like, think of being in a stuck elevator, opening up the ceiling panel, and then going up through the ceiling is how it had to happen. Oh, by the way, Justin Herbert, one of the players who were stuck for nearly 2 hours.
Being lost at sea, being in a tornado, and being stuck in an elevator are some of my biggest fears. I would try to keep it cool, but I'd be like, the worst case scenarios will be going through my head the whole time. In 2 hours of that, I'd be stressed out.
Can I tell you the thing that my most irrational fear, and it's from one of the Final Destinations, is when I walk in or out of an elevator, the elevator moves. That's my biggest fear. And it's so irrational.
Yep.
But I think
we've seen videos of that actually happening.
You know, every time I walk out of an elevator, I think, what if it happens?
Every time I'm behind a logging truck. Well,
yes.
Other lane.
Yes.
I'm out of there.
Exactly. Because of Final Destination.
Exactly.
I believe the second one, third one. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Mike Sando has his annual quarterback tier list. I was a little surprised to see where Geno ended up. That's next.
It's a new era for the Seahawks.
Oh, my word, what a catch! What a catch by JSN!
I always expect us to go out and play hard and play physical and be clean.
I would think he's going to come in and be pretty disciplined about this is what we're doing, man.
A new season kicks off September 8th when the Hawks host the Broncos at Lumen Field.
Touchdown, Seahawks! The Seahawks defense, they awaken the crowd at Lumen Field.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic collector car, truck, and boat auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Events Center. Gates open at 9 a.m. Auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
Did you know that your largest investment asset might not be your retirement account or home? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. Most people don't realize that their life insurance policy is actually an asset they can sell. But for almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. We've even created a free policy value calculator at abacuspays.com so you can find out in seconds what we might pay for your policy. There are no fees and no obligations, just information. Knowing the value of your life insurance policy is as important as knowing the value of your home, your equity portfolio, or your finances in total. Discover the valuable information you need to understand the current market value for your life insurance, and then get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Visit abacuspays.com to learn more and use our free policy value calculator today.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
We are Seattle Sports.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three, and the ball game is over. The Mariners hang on and win it this afternoon.
The home of the Mariners.
I started Davis Law Group 30 years ago with the goal of bringing the highest quality of legal representation to accident victims. Seattle has changed a lot in that time, and the needs of drivers and accident victims have grown. I'm happy to say that we have too. We've expanded our team to take on the biggest challenges for accident victims across the state. Contact Washington's best personal injury team today at 206-888-8888 or visit us online at davislawgroupseattle.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into video only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Are you interested in investing in real estate in the greater Seattle market, but don't want to manage properties, develop real estate, or sign on debt? Hi, it's Scott Rirucka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital, based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 15 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Find out why over 800 local investors have invested over $200 million in our Legacy family of funds. Legacy Northwest Fund returned over 12% in both 2007 and 2008. Are you looking at diversification opportunities, especially with what's happening in the market this year? Get in touch with us today. Legacy's family of funds has a limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or legacyg.com. That's legacyg.com. This is not investment advice. Investment performance based on average return of LFO1, LFO2, and LSF from 2007 through the date of calculation and after deduction of fees and expenses. Legacy family of funds investments are available to accredited investors only.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Now, I love a good quarterback debate. In fact, it's one of my favorite types of conversations to have because unless you say something like Patrick Mahomes is bad, no one's definitively wrong. You can kind of make the case no matter what for your quarterback of choice or that someone's overrated or underrated. I just love it so much. It gets me so fired up. So naturally, when Mike Sando of The Athletic came out with his quarterback tiers, as he does every single year, I thought, well, where is Geno Smith? And where does everyone else rank? Do I disagree with any of these? Now, this is not Mike Sando's definitive opinion. It's polling 50 NFL coaches and executives. So this is people speaking anonymously. No surprise, Patrick Mahomes, number 1. In fact, you could probably guess the top 3. Do you want to take a shot?
Well, I'm looking at the list.
Okay. So Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen make it into the top 3. Tier 2 is for a quarterback that can carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently. Lamar Jackson leading off that group. Matthew Stafford's in there.
Bullcorn. Lamar needs to be in the top tier.
I thought so, too.
Crazy.
That was my first disagreement with this one because I thought, I'm sorry, like, it's not like you can look at Joe Burrow. First of all, Patrick Mahomes, separate tier. Patrick Mahomes gets his own tier. Let's start there. Then make tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson belong in there. I would also consider Matthew Stafford in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Then you get into, and as a separate tier, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, C.J. Stroud, Dak Prescott all make sense to me in a separate tier. And I would probably bump Dak above C.J. Stroud because he's just proven more.
Yep.
So I'm starting with some of those. Jalen Hurts is he higher or lower at 11 than you were expecting?
I think he's right where he needs to be. Last year wasn't great for him. I think teams figured out if you just put some pressure on and you blitz him, then he's going to be flustered a little bit. I'm not mad at where Jalen Hurts is. He has the potential to be higher than that, though.
Then you have tier 3, a quarterback who's a legitimate starter but needs a heavier running game and or a defensive component to win. A lower volume drop-back passing offense suits him best. So you have Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa. At number 18, Deshaun Watson. Number 19, Baker Mayfield. And then tied for 20th, Derek Carr and Geno Smith. Geno bump is not only lower than I would have expected, even though Baker had more passing yards than him last year, I don't see Geno Smith as being less of a starting caliber quarterback than Baker Mayfield.
No, if you guys see the list, though, side note, Geno's picture's fire in the throwback uniforms.
It
looks great. The part that confuses me about this list, and it's all opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the third tier is a quarterback who needs a run game. Essentially, what I heard you say. What does Brock Purdy need? He needs that run game, but he's in that second tier. Tua definitely needs a run game, but he can throw the football all across the yard. I think he should be in that second tier.
Yes.
So I would move a couple of these guys around. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is fine. Kyler Murray, I think, is fine. A lot of these guys, it seems like they're either unproven or on the back nine of their career. I'm looking at Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. Baker Mayfield's been a one-year wonder. I think they got to see what's going on there. Deshaun Watson, I think this is appropriate. We'll see what he looks like. But yeah, the Tua and the Brock Purdy are the ones that confuse me the most. The thing with Geno is, I think he's fine. I think he's fine in the third tier. Move my man up, though. He need to be around 15, 16, 17 when it comes to that third tier.
That's such a good point about Brock Purdy. And you almost, it's not his fault, But we've never seen him without that. We have seen Josh Allen without a really good run game, and he succeeded in spite of that. We have seen Patrick Mahomes without a great run game and without a good defense, and he succeeded in spite of that. Obviously not recently. They had one of the better defenses in football last year. We have seen examples of both of those quarterbacks succeeding despite weaknesses around them. Brock Purdy has literally never played for an NFL team without a good run game and a good defense. So how can you possibly say that Brock Purdy can succeed despite not having those things when you've never seen it? Like, you have to, by virtue of him not having it, put him down a tier, even though I think he's a perfectly fine starter. I think he's a great player for their system and what they want to do. But if you're going to say, oh, tier 2 for guys that can lift their team up despite they can carry the team, when has Brock Purdy carried the 49ers?
He hasn't had to. And here's the thing about tier 2. It gets muddy, right? The waters get muddy. But I'm looking at Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, and Brock Purdy. Okay? This is my Geno bias. Put Geno on the 49ers, they're good. You put Geno on the Philadelphia Eagles, they're good. You put Geno on the Lions, they are good. My comp a couple years ago was Geno and Jared Goff. I think Geno's a bit more athletic than Jared Goff, but they are guys who are going to have to be surrounded by a team to make this thing work. Jalen Hurts isn't winning ball games by himself neither, and neither is Brock Purdy. No one really does. I'm not mad at the top tier when it comes to Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen. I just think that Lamar needs to be in the mix because he brings something to the table that these guys don't. Josh Allen did account for the most touchdowns in the NFL last year. These guys are deserving. But I think it's opinion. All this is opinion. And I think that my opinion is that Lamar Jackson is capable of doing some great things. People point out, well, he hasn't gone to, or his playoff record is garbage. They ran the ball like 5 times last year. Mm-hmm. They didn't run the football. They got to the playoffs and said, you know what, abandon what got us here. Let's put it all on Lamar Jackson.
Forget our identity.
That's not his fault. He doesn't call the plays. If he was supported properly or the plays were called properly, I think they win and get into the Super Bowl and the rest is history, but they didn't do that. So I guess you can lean on his playoff performances. That's fine. I just think that 4 ain't bad, but move that 4 and just put him in the top tier.
Deshaun Watson at 18 feels like going off of the talent you know he has and not what he's shown you, because what he's shown you is nothing. In the last several years, he has either not played because of suspension, not played because of health, or not played very well.
Right.
How is he 18 above players that actually perform? Baker Mayfield last year was the full-time starter for the Buccaneers and did a really nice job. Geno Smith did fine. It wasn't his 2022 season, but it's not like he had this huge drop-off, and there weren't clear issues with a banged-up offensive line that affected the run game and then a bad defense. Russell Wilson had a better season last year than Deshaun Watson.
The one thing we know about the NFL is always, what have you done for me lately? And Deshaun Watson has not done anything for the Browns as of late. Could he come out this year and have a good year? For sure, especially if Nick Chubb is healthy and he has a great run game. Things could happen for him, but I agree 100% with you. I think Deshaun Watson needs to be lower. The one thing I do agree with this list is tier 4 is on point.
Okay, so I'm just
tier 4 is on point.
Tier 4 in order.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, and this is the only you invested draft picks and capital and contracts into your starter guy in here. Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, obviously acquired as can we make this work? Gardner Minshew, same thing. Anthony Richardson hasn't been able to prove much. Will Levis, Bryce Young, all there for the same reasons. Then you've got Sam Darnold, not even his original team. Jacoby Brissett, not his original team. Having Daniel Jones in there, that's damning.
Makes sense. Also, big ups to Geno. They had you in a tier all by yourself last year. All by yourself.
True.
And now, look at you. Look at us now.
Yeah.
Huh? Let's go.
Out the mud.
Straight out the mud.
What caught my eye coming your way next?
The pennant race is on Seattle Sports.
Swing and a drive deep to right center. That baby's way gone.
Goodbye, baseball. Tune in for exclusive coverage, expert analysis, and every single pitch as the Mariners sail toward the AL West title.
Swing and a fly ball. Blasted deep. This is way back and gone. And a swing and a miss. Came back with a splitter for strike 3.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Hey, Brock Heward here, and I have had my share of sports injuries, and I know a little bit about pain. Well, that's what football will do to you from head to toe. But you don't have to play professional sports to know what I'm talking about. Painful joints from arthritis can affect anyone and make it hard to do pretty much anything. Well, that's where my friend, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine comes into play. He has seen so many patients through the years suffering from chronic joint pain caused by arthritis. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Don't let pain stop you from enjoying life. Consider Dr. Nelson the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. That's right, your own stem cells and platelet-rich plasma to harness your own body's healing potential. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit danielnelsonmd.com. That's danielnelsonmd.com.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back. I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Allshouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At the Home Depot, we know you can't control everything, like when your guests arrive too early for Saturday college football. But you can control your grill. With the Traeger Timberline XL, you can watch the game, not the grill. Monitor your football feast from anywhere using the Traeger app. With the Timberline XL, you can bake, smoke, sear, fry, and saute. That's Desmond Howard-level versatility.
Huddle up, the food's done.
Defend your game time with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Are you ready to build your company's dream team? Just like in sports, finding skilled players is essential for success. With Robert Half's winning combination of specialized recruiting professionals and award-winning AI, we'll help you find the MVPs and key role players who will have you hanging banners in the rafters. Because in business, it's all about having the experienced team on your side. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law we can help.
Rojas is around third. He slides across. What is going on in the 8th inning? The Mariners have tied it up.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys have agreed on a new deal. After a long holdout and questions about where negotiations would go, Dallas gave Lamb a 4-year, $136 million extension that comes in just shy of Justin Jefferson's 4-year, $140 million deal. The Seahawks made a trade this morning, sending a 6th-round pick to the Jags for edge rusher Trevis Gibson. The team's still waiting to see about the severity for a knee injury for their own outside linebacker, Nwosu.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. The Seahawks wrapped up their preseason yesterday, and what I gotta say was Saturday, and what I gotta say was a surprisingly entertaining preseason game. Maybe that's because the starting offense was out there to get things started, so we saw a really explosive touchdown drive. Maybe it's because there were really solid plays elsewhere, like a punt return for a touchdown by D. Eskridge or some really nice defensive plays. So we're going to talk about the things that caught our eye in this game. Let's go ahead and get started. Bump, what you got?
What caught my eye was the obvious. Geno Smith looked like he was ready to play some football. One incompletion during his drive. It was an out route to DK Metcalf. Just missed him. The underneath defender kind of forced him to push it towards the sideline a little bit. Completely fine with that. You miss in good places. He missed towards the sideline so no one else could get it but DK. Also, what was impressive, his pocket presence, man. You're getting pressure up the gut. You realize your running back is going to release. You stand tall in there. You're falling sideways, getting twisted up. Composure. You drop it to Kenny McIntosh. You get a 9-yard gain there. Geno also audible out of a play. Saw that the Cleveland Browns were going to be in a lot of man, played a lot of man, got a matchup to the right side that he liked, audible to JSN and DK Metcalf, and then completed the pass. He looked like he was in complete control, man. He looked like that uncle in the backyard with the nephews, dicing them up at the family reunion. Let's go. And then, I don't know if Geno always wore a chain, but the chain game was on point, man.
Yeah.
You know, I like me a nice little chain. He looked good out there.
I'm going to build on that. First, here's what that touchdown sounded like.
Slot to the near side. Now McIntosh is going to take off out of the backfield, go wide to the right. Geno drops back, looks, lays it up over the top. Going for DK Metcalf. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks. The defender fell just as the ball got there. DK reaches up, says that's my football, and he's got himself a 21-yard touchdown reception. The Seahawks, first time with the ball tonight, they go down the field and score. It's 6-0.
A very related what caught my eye, so here is mine. Speaking of DK Metcalf, kind of building off of what you said about what you like to see from this defense, I encourage everyone, if you haven't already replayed that touchdown a million times or didn't already watch it with friends or family on Saturday, to just kind of remind yourself of how good DK Metcalf is. Here's what happens, Bump. When you spend an entire offseason talking about something, you can kind of become numb to it. So we've had a million discussions this offseason about what DK Metcalf could look like in this offense, about how he gets to the next level. We talked about wide receiver tiers. DK Metcalf was an honorable mention but didn't make the top 10. We know that DK Metcalf will soon be eligible for a contract extension. In the wake of a million contract extensions, mega deals for wide receivers this offseason, we've been wondering, is DK worthy of that kind of money? Look, I don't think he's getting Justin Jefferson or now CeeDee Lamb money, but man, DK Metcalf is not overrated. DK Metcalf is not someone who isn't worth having on your team. I don't care what people have to say about the penalties he draws, about thinking that, oh, he has issues catching the ball. DK is a weapon and a half. And seeing him out there for that first drive reminded me of how powerful he can be for a very aggressive pass game.
I agree 100% with what you said, but you ready for a hot take?
Yeah.
DK pushed that boy a little bit. He gave him a little nudge.
I mean,
a little veteran nudge never hurt nobody.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, no, if it happens, it happens.
But that's why you have DK, man, for plays like that. I'm sitting there talking to my son, young Michael, and we're breaking down receivers. And the ones that he liked our likes are the smaller, shiftier ones. You're seeing receivers come in 5'11", 6 foot, don't have to be big anymore, and they bring something to the game. Those receivers are more common than a DK Metcalf. You're going to need a receiver to go across the middle, lower the shoulder. There was one incompletion. It's been the greatest incompletion I've ever seen from DK Metcalf. I think it was last year or the year before. He runs a slant, doesn't catch the football. The DB tries to light him up, and DK sits him down on his wallet, as Steve Rabel would say. To everyone else, we're saying, catch the ball, DK. And I'm saying the same thing, like, yeah, you could have caught that ball, but you know what? That DB getting downhill, he ain't going to fly down as hard next time. He's going to be a bit hesitant when it comes to trying to tackle a guy like DK. The physical presence on a football field is real. You can be skilled and have success out there. We see it all the time in the NFL. But when you have size, speed, and strength like that, it does something to a defense, and it does something to a quarterback to where he feels like, look, if I just toss this football up, 14 is going to come down with it. Respect DK. I'm glad he's on the squad.
All right, what's next?
All right, what caught my eye? Kenny McIntosh better make this dang team.
Man.
For season and a half now, we've been yelling, saying, look, not even season and a half, just all last year, where is Kenny? Where is Kenny? He's on the sideline. He has his pads on, doesn't see the field. He's on the sideline with the beanie on. Why isn't he on the field? We see him at practice. He looks healthy. Why isn't this young man playing? This is what having a new coaching staff does. It allows these guys to look at these players, the same players we see, but look at them differently, because there is no history with this player. He didn't rub him the wrong way, maybe coming out of a meeting or something like that. There was something that was off with Kenny McIntosh as far as his relationship with the Pete Carroll coaching staff. With this one, he's gotten a brand new start, and I love it. That 56-yard touchdown was something that he needed to feel and see for validation. I'm glad he's getting opportunities. He's been the best running back during the preseason for the Seahawks, and I expect him to make the squad.
I think that it's possible that that's also changed on Kenny's part, right? Like, it's not like looking at Pete Carroll's staff going, what were you guys doing, you idiots? Like, maybe there really was an issue there that they didn't like work ethic, or they didn't like the way he did things, or maybe they just really loved having Kenny and Zach. But we wondered all year long, particularly you, like, where is this running back? Especially when they were running into running back injuries. Like, why aren't you putting him out there more? Why aren't we seeing him? So maybe Kenny changed. Like, you don't know what happens like internally, or maybe for someone else who gets a second chance to leave a good first impression. But it has been so encouraging to see. Now, we've seen all of Kenny McIntosh in these games without seeing Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Is there still a pretty noticeable gap between what Ken brings you and what Kenny McIntosh brings you? Like, is he solidly 3?
Yeah, Ken Walker's your guy.
Yeah.
He is he's a different type of back, NFL ready. I think he's strong enough to withstand 20, 25 carries if need be. He has a great feel for the game, but you need the curveball. You need the changeup. And right now that's Zach Charbonnet and that's Kenny McIntosh. He's clearly the 3. Zach Charbonnet's put in the work last year to establish himself as the 2. Kenny can be the 3, but he's going to get some touches.
All right, let's go to what's next. I very obviously am excited to see what this defense looks like out there in the regular season, but I have been and continue to be so impressed with the depth in this defensive back group. I really hope that Artie Burns is able to bounce back from what was a foot injury and took him out of that game. It certainly didn't look good in the moment. He looked upset in the moment. I hope it's not that serious. The silver lining to all of this is that this has been a position where I had lots of questions heading into the season and have thankfully had a lot of them answered. I mean, Kobe Bryant, I don't even know what his role is going to be, and he's looked really solid. You know what I mean? Like, and that's without even mentioning when they are playing that Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen have looked really great. I think that this gives Mike McDonald so much versatility to do the things that he wants to do. And you've noticed at training camp that versatility pop up and multiplicity and kind of shifting looks for that defensive back group.
When we played USC at USC, they make sure you line up and you watch USC come out their tunnel, their locker room through the tunnel. And they have this chant they used to do, "We too deep." I'd be like, yeah, they deep as heck over there, man. They got guys everywhere. That's the DB room with the Seahawks. They are deep. Like, you don't want to see Artie Burns go down. He's a veteran at 28 years old. He's a veteran, right? But he brings something to this team that can be useful. But there's a reason why they were comfortable letting go of Mike Jackson and sending him over to the Panthers for a late round pick, or actually for a backer, right? Was it a backer? Yeah, that's got Barrett for Mike Jackson, because They are deep at this position. Trey Brown, Lance Boykin had a great play during this preseason. Calm down, young fella. Got a flag for taunting, but I ain't mad at you. You drafted Nehemiah Pritchett. You mentioned Kobe Bryant, who is extremely versatile over there. Reek Willen, DJ James. I mean, the list goes on and on. So they will be fine. You hate to see that, but that provides an opportunity for somebody else. That is the game of football. Guys are going to go down. Are you too deep? Like the 2003 through 2006 USC Trojans.
I'm going to have a related takeaway for my final one, but just to toss on one more name, DJ James, too, one of their drafted corners who had a couple really solid plays in this one. He might not even make the squad. You know what I mean? Like, they're so deep that you have guys where you go, I wish you would have had 10 more of those because it might be too little too late, but it's still so encouraging to see.
Can I point one more thing out? Or maybe we just go to the next.
Sure. Let's go to the next one.
My bad, Stacey. You're leading the show. I'm just a passenger.
Well, I'm glad that you have another takeaway though. Like, it's easy for me.
So someone wrote down or texted in, bump, I could have ran through that hole talking about the Kenny McIntosh hole. Yes, we all could have. And you know why? Because Laviska Shenault played tight end on that play, wrapped around, blew up the end of the linebacker on that side, and created that hole for Kenny McIntosh. People be on my head on the text line saying, "Oh, Bump loves Laviska." Yes, I do. I do. If he needs an uncle, I got you, Laviska, because I'm bought in to what you're doing. He has played tight end. He's played receiver and caught a bubble screen. He has played tight end and had a huge block. He has played kick returner, or what was a kick returner, had a 44-yard return. He's gone down on punt return and made some tackles. This dude should be challenging Jake Bobo for that number 4 spot. I think Jake Bobo got more money in the bank because he's been here for a while, at least for a season, and has earned that. But 81 is on his butt right now and is well-deserved, man. Laviska continues to show up and show out.
Can I add on to another response to a texter, this one about DK Metcalf, before I get to the final takeaway because it's different than that one? 808, good texter from Hawaii. Like, a great point. DK is great, but strictly ROI, return on investment. You can get very, very good receivers every year in the draft for a fraction of the cost. You are not wrong in that we have started to see such, not just amazing wide receiver talent be pro-ready from college, but deliver on that in their rookie season, second season. It's so amazing to see. And I've definitely thought before, what if the Seahawks just keep replenishing there? What if other teams start to turn away from huge deals and just replenish there? However, Seattle also has not had the best of luck in drafting those guys. Paul Richardson, second rounder, didn't work out. D. Eskridge, second rounder, didn't work out. Like, they have drafted wide receivers trying to replenish that. Doesn't always work out. And some of those guys that are just pro-ready, they automatically hit. Yeah, you'll get a Puka Nacua in there.
Right.
You'll get a Cooper Kupp in there. But then, like, Marvin Harrison Jr., of course he's going to be great.
It's all about your budget. Right, my wife, love my wife, man. She hooked me up last year. I go and get some new golf clubs, and the irons cost a lot, but I still need a driver. And she's like, "Well, do you want the driver?" Because yeah, he goes, "Well, we budgeted for it, so go ahead and get the driver." I'm like, but it's expensive. I can get a cheaper one that probably performs something like it. She goes, "Go ahead and get the driver that you want. If you can afford DK, go ahead and pay this man DK." I already mentioned the physical attributes. People always point towards like the negative when it comes to DK. And I have to remind people that you need that type of person on your football team. You cannot have a bunch of guys who are just nice guys and super polite. We got that already. He's a baller. His name is Tyler Lockett. We got that already. You need an enforcer out there. It does something to a defense. I think people don't realize the physical presence. I wish they could stand on the sideline during a football game and just feel the intensity that's being played out there. Really, and typically that comes from the defensive side of the football. DK being out there stresses the defense out in a different way. Not like Debo, where he's going to line up in a whole bunch of different places and do his thing. Not like Cooper Kupp, who's going to route you up from different positions. It is a physical aspect. And then you combine that with the potential of this dude. He's gone for 1,200, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns before. I think he's worth the money. Is he going to get paid 35, 36? No, I don't think so. But can he be around 28 to 30? Yeah, I think so.
All right, I got one more.
All right.
You kind of hinted at it with one of your last takeaways, or what caught your eyes. Taunting penalties remain really lame to me. And I know that this is like complaining about car tabs being expensive, but then knowing that that's the rule and you just have to pay it anyways. Like, a rule is a rule, and your team needs to follow that rule or else they're going to be penalized. So deal with it. However, I have not come around to this penalty. I have not come around to agreeing with it. And I still roll my eyes every single time because it is the dumbest thing, and it's especially dumb in a preseason game.
It is dumb, but I also think that there's a level of responsibility that the players have.
Sure.
Like Lance Boykins knew. Like, you look at him, you yell, you give him a second and a half of your time, and then you switch your energy to your teammates. Like, the longer you stand there, the more attention is going to be drawn to you. But it's also, you're asking these players to play a physical, violent game with emotion, but contain your emotion when you make a big play. Contain your emotions when you're on the bubble trying to make a team, and you just made a play. There's a fine line, right? You gotta walk the line. But I think they should be more lenient. It's almost like, okay, here's your first offense for the year.
Yeah.
We warned you once. Then you give the referees their little notepad and say, all right, number 19, if he does anything crazy, we got to flag him. He's been warned so far this year. They're human beings, not robots.
A little card system.
Yeah.
Like in soccer. We have some breaking Seahawks news, so let's go ahead and get to it with headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
That's right. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, Uchenna Nwosu will miss multiple weeks with a knee injury and is a candidate to start the 2024 season on IR. What's the real headline?
The pressure's on to bring the pressure now for the defensive line and Boye Mafe.
Ooh, I see what you did. Bars, pressure. You get that, folks?
Yeah, because quarterback pressures.
It makes
But then
diamonds.
the pressure's on to bring the pressure. No, I let's extend that headline to your own takeaway, Bump. Who now takes a little more on their shoulders for the next couple weeks until Uchenna gets back?
It's got to be Derek Hall. He's had himself a nice preseason. He looks like he understands his role and how to get to the quarterback and do it in a way that doesn't compromise the defense. I think that's the main thing with these edge rushers is that you have to get after the quarterback. But if there's ever an easy way to get after the quarterback, you do not take it because they're baiting you to take the easy way. That tackle wants you to go underneath sometimes so that quarterback can roll outside. So it's about being aggressive, doing your job, but not compromising the integrity of the defense, and I think so far Derek Hall has done exactly that. It's unfortunate, man. I feel so bad for Uchenna, man. Tough season last year with his injury. Out there for a couple plays, the knees all jacked up. I've been going back and forth with a texter about that tackle wasn't doing anything wrong, man. He was just trying to make Uchenna go over the top. I don't think that tackle was getting into pass pro and saying, there's his knees, let's go get him. Things happen in football, and unfortunately, it's happened 2 years in a row for Uchenna. But I feel better about the backups this year than I did last year. Boye's going to be fine. Derek's going to be fine. Just hold it down until he gets back.
Adam Schefter with a bit more information on that injury. He says that it's a sprained MCL for Nwosu. He's expected to miss anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks. It would be at least 3 to 4 weeks anyways. So definitely a candidate to start the season on the injured reserve list. Obviously, you can return from that list, but you've got to miss a minimum. I want to say it's been changed to 3 weeks now, maybe 4. I get messed up on all the rules now. But so we're potentially starting a season here certainly without Uchenna, according to this report, potentially without Abe Lucas, who there's no confirmation he'll start the season on the PUP list, but may. And then we'll see how healthy your linebacker group is. But some notable injuries, though not, completely deflating ones. You've still got a lot of pieces to work with, and it's really exciting. But, man, I'm just thinking back to Uchenna missing the second half of the season with a torn pec and realizing only after the fact how impactful that absence was.
It's going to hurt, but get better, 10. We'll hold it down for you.
Yep.
Headline rewrites.
In response to that move, the Seahawks have made a trade with the Jaguars for linebacker Trevis Gibson. They send Jacksonville a late-round pick in return. What's the real headline?
And if you're a linebacker, you might get traded to the Seahawks today, too. They've made a couple of these moves, including trading one of their own outside linebackers, Darrell Taylor, to Chicago.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how things happen. I bet you that John Schneider and the gang are like, dang, if only we had DT, we might feel a little better about this whole situation. But you don't make moves in fear. You make moves to say, this is what this team needs right now. We're trying to build towards the future. It's just unfortunate that it went down this way. Next man up. If you played any type of sport, next man up. You know how that goes. Every opportunity I got in football was because somebody got hurt and I took the position and just ran with it. That's the game. No one's going to run with this position because Uchenna has shown that he is a good ball player. But you need depth everywhere. Interior linebacker, outside backers. Baker's been banged up. Dotson's been banged up. Is Tyrese Knight going to be ready to go? This is the game, man. And when things happen, you must make corresponding moves, and that's exactly it.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys have reportedly agreed to a 4-year extension worth up to $134 million. What's the real headline?
Well, congrats to him. And congrats to Brandon Ayuk and Jamar Chase, too.
Yes. I'm sure CD got a text from the homies and was like, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, because now we can
Appreciate
get
you.
paid. And we have, because none of these guys are Justin Jefferson. They're closer to CeeDee Lamb. So now, there's a mark that they can hit. My question is, why did it take so dang long? You knew this was going to go down. Was it the guaranteed money? Was it incentives? I mean, you guys had more than enough time to figure this thing out. The part that disturbs me the most is that it feels like there was just too much pride on both sides. Mm-hmm. We knew it was going to come together. Jerry, you knew you were going to pay this guy. You are not going to be 12-5 without CeeDee Lamb. It's just unfortunate it took too long, but it did get done. Now, my only concern is what type of shape is CeeDee Lamb in? I know he can run. I know his cardiovascular condition is going to be great, but it's the start, the stop, the getting hit, the hitting the ground. That's the hardest part in football is getting used to hitting that ground. That ground wins every single battle. So, CD, come back, do your thing. I'm sure Dak is happy. Dak needs to send him some flowers or something.
I wonder if complicating the issue was CD's production last year compared to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, I think most people would say, is the best wide receiver talent-wise.
Yeah.
And maybe like otherwise resume. But CD, I believe, right, had more yards last year. So for CD, he could say, well, yeah, Justin got paid 4 years, $140 million, but I'm giving you that production, so why can't I get that? The reason I wonder that is that this deal includes $38 million in a signing bonus, which you get up front. That is more than Justin Jefferson got. It's the largest ever given to any wide receiver. So I wonder if part of how they got this deal done was, look, we're not going to pay you per year what Justin Jefferson is getting, but we'll give you more money up front. How's that sound? Like, I wonder if that's what it took to kind of get the deal done.
Yeah, and then Justin only played 10 games last year.
Yeah.
And then went for 1,000 yards. I guess if you look at his yards per game last year, Justin Jefferson was at 106.8. CeeDee Lamb was at 91.4. So I guess there's that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows how these GMs and these agents, like what the conversations are really like. There has to be a consultant, someone that they both talk to, and when determining how valuable these guys are. To me, I think it's clear Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league. What makes him that? Pure route running. I think CeeDee Lamb runs good routes. He has good hands to run after the catch. But Justin Jefferson will break you down in multiple ways from multiple positions. It's tough, man. It's a tough job to do when you're trying to decipher how much to pay somebody when they're putting up just monster numbers as well. End of the day, he just wants to be in the ballpark. Be in the ballpark with Justin Jefferson and give me something that he doesn't have. It sounds like with that signing bonus, he got exactly that.
Now, if you look at last year's leaders in receiving yards, you're going to find guys that got some nice extensions here. A.J. Brown, one of those recipients, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill already leading that group. No longer the highest paid, but you can see top paid receivers in the top 5 pass catchers outside of Puka, obviously a rookie. At 7, Brandon Ayuk. 12, Jamar Chase. As part of our headline rewrite, we mentioned that both of those are also in line for extensions. Jamar Chase has returned to practice. Brandon Ayuk has not. Do you anticipate both will be with their teams in week 1?
I do. Brandon Ayuk has been around the team, though. He hasn't been.
Yes, he has been around the team.
Yeah, it's been a hold in. So I think that helps the relationship, and it shows that Brandon Ayuk wants to be there. He just wants to be compensated accordingly. I think he's going to be there. Other one was Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. Ain't no way the Bengals are letting go of Jamar Chase. They shouldn't, at least.
An update on the Patriots quarterback battle and some interesting info on another holdout that does affect the Seahawks, though it's not a Seahawks player. That's coming up in our look around the NFL.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper. What kind of manager do you want to be?
Having a good relationship with the clubhouse is huge and really help to support the players. And, we want to be in it with them on a daily basis. In some ways, too, it's about getting out of the way. I mean, these guys are good players. These guys are the best players in the world at what they do. And so it's giving them what they need, but then allowing them the space and the creativity and the individuality to go out and do their job. The baseball season is a grind. There's no question. You have to ride that balance.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hall of Famers, the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee. The 2024 Tour with special guest, the Robert Cray Band, live in Auburn. Performing at White River Amphitheater Friday, September 6th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit thedoobybrothers.com.
Hey, this is Stacey Rost, and if you're looking for top-notch service for your plumbing, heating, and air needs, look no further than Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. For over 25 years, Ben's has been providing 5-star service to our community. Their team of experienced professionals is dedicated to making sure you get the best service possible. Here's what that means. No pressure, no gimmicks. Just honest, reliable work. From routine maintenance to emergency repairs, Ben's has got you covered. And with their no-pressure sales approach, you can rest easy, knowing that you're only getting the services you actually need without those unnecessary upsells. So, whether it's a leaky faucet or a broken heater, maybe an AC on the fritz, trust the experts with over a quarter-century of excellence. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air today at 206-789-5353 or Ben's.Plumbing. That's 206-789-5353 or Ben's.Plumbing. Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air, where 5-star service meets no-pressure sales.
Key here is employee satisfaction. There is no expectation for customer satisfaction if the people that work with us don't feel taken care of and supported and loved. I'm proud of this Billy Johnson Auto family. I'm proud of our stores. And I need everybody to share in that mindset, because it makes a better experience for the customer. It also makes it a better place to work. Walking away from an interaction with a customer that says, I can't believe how easy this was. I can't thank you enough for helping me. Receiving a handwritten letter that's personalized to a salesperson or a service advisor or a technician expressing gratitude, and then taking that home and sharing that with your family and hanging that on your refrigerator, that's the difference.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
We are Seattle Sports.
Face it, ball game. And Dan Wilson wins his first game as Mariners manager.
The home of the Mariners.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industry's no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations.
Seattle is home to Swedish CyberKnife, a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. Compared with other radiation treatments, CyberKnife treatment is much shorter, typically 5 treatments. The vast majority of patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. Swedish CyberKnife patients enjoy excellent cancer control rates and minimal disruption to normal activities. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
I started Davis Law Group 30 years ago with the goal of bringing the highest quality of legal representation to accident victims. Seattle has changed a lot in that time, and the needs of drivers and accident victims have grown. I'm happy to say that we have too. We've expanded our team to take on the biggest challenges for accident victims across the state. Contact Washington's best personal injury team today at 206-888-8888 or visit us online at davislawgroupseattle.com.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, let's talk about a Patriots quarterback battle. I know it's not a team a lot of you are paying attention to, but there's a rookie quarterback involved, and this could be an intriguing class. Pats head coach Gerard Mayo told Boston's WEEI that Drake May has pulled ahead of Jacoby Brissett in New England's competition.
This is a true competition. It wasn't fluff or anything like that. It's a true competition. And I would say at this current point, Drake has outplayed Jacoby. Now I'm saying that we have to take in the full body of work, going all the way back to the spring and the beginning of training camp, and we'll see where we end up. But those are the conversations that will happen here over the next couple of days.
Now, despite that, from the head coach who knows more than anyone, Adam Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show and did say that Jacoby remains very much in that battle to potentially start the season. You think he does?
I said it once, I'll say it again. Protect this young man. I know I talked about him coming out the draft and said, look, I don't see what everyone else sees. He's definitely an NFL quarterback. But if your team is not ready to support him, do not throw him out there. This is a situation that Tom Brady was talking about where he feels bad that rookies are being thrown out there, that the game is being dumbed down. I don't mind the game being dumbed down. Don't make it complicated. But also don't put your rookie behind an offensive line that's going to get him beat up. He is young. You have to nurture that quarterback mind. I don't care what you think. You can call them soft or whatever. You have to coach them differently. It is not the same. If you want a running back to run in there and get beat up as a rookie, you go ahead and do that. You want a defensive lineman to take on double teams, okay. But if you think he is possibly the future of your franchise, let Jacoby go out there and do his thing. That's what I would do. I assume that Jacoby will be the starter. I hope he is.
Now, if you at no point want Drake to get hurt and you don't have faith your offensive line improves, you don't put him in there at all. Is there a certain point when you get to the season and you go, the offensive line still isn't great, but it's not going to hurt to have Drake get some snaps? Do you start putting him out there?
Yeah, because I think at some point in a season, everyone knows who their team is.
Right.
Do you have a chance to make the playoffs? Are you going to rest your guys late because you got that one seed? Or are you just not even a thought when it comes to the playoffs? If it gets to the point where the Patriots are looking at each other and saying, look, this season is a wrap. Now let's go ahead and get this young man out there when there's absolutely no pressure. You look at the way they're ending the season, goodness gracious, Stacey. Say he's in there for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. He's got to see the Dolphins, the Colts, the Cardinals, and then the Bills twice within 2 weeks, man. It's going to be tough.
Next story here. Nick Chubb will start the 2024 season on the PUP list, as was expected. He's still rehabbing that leg injury sustained in week 2 of the 2023 season. He is so good as a running back, and also, I don't want to say injury prone, but has just dealt with some heartbreaking moments. I hope he comes back and plays this year. Jerome Ford is his immediate backup, so fantasy owners, keep an eye out for him. Bump, I have the hardest time predicting what the Cleveland Browns could be this year because they have one of the league's best defenses with lots of question marks but talent on offense.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think when everyone is healthy on paper, they look like they can compete in arguably the hardest division in football, the AFC North. But there's a whole bunch of contingencies. Is Deshaun Watson going to be the guy you saw in Houston? How early are you going to get Nick Chubb involved? What does Jerry Jeudy look like in this offense? And then defensively, can they run back what they did last year? If there's anything that I can lean on when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, it's got to be that defense, man, because they got a lot of guys coming back. And last year only allowed 270 yards per game. They were good against the pass, best against the pass. They were top 10 when it comes to stopping the run. They're set up. So if you have, because all those questions are there on offense, you can look at the defense and feel better about it because they'll give you a chance to get it going if you start slow.
The Commanders, next story here, are an organization that for many, many years just couldn't help but step in it constantly. And they kind of did it to themselves. Like, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. It's like what the Commanders would do. They are trying to right one of those gaffes. Commanders owner Josh Harris announced the team will take down the team's oft-criticized public memorial of Sean Taylor and instead install a different one that better honors his life. So the old memorial, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a picture. It's more of like a wire. It's a very modern statue that honestly, less than a memorial for Sean Taylor, looks like just a mannequin outside of like a Foot Locker kind of situation. It doesn't look like something that truly honors Sean Taylor, though obviously that was the intent. Earlier, it was criticized for being the wrong branded jersey with a Reebok instead of Nike and not having tape all over the mask the way that Taylor would do.
He played in Reebok.
Or
uniforms.
maybe they did the opposite. Like they didn't do. And then they didn't put tape on his helmet and mask the way that he did. So what they're going to do instead is build a statue in order to honor Sean Taylor as opposed to having this kind of like wire thing. So they're just going to put more thought into it. They're also going to work with his daughter to help design the statue.
Why do the Commanders make everything so difficult?
I really don't know.
You know dang well he need a statue out there in front of wherever they play. That thing needs to be able to stand in the snow, the sun, the rain. The first thing you see when you walk up to their stadium should be one of the guys who could have been one of the greatest safeties of all time. I'm not mad at the other monument. Keep it. Leave it inside. Just do what you're supposed to do to it. But you need yourself a 15-foot tall statue of Sean Taylor. Come on now.
All right, next up here, I mentioned that there was a holdup affecting the Seahawks. What I mean is that there's a very important San Francisco 49er whose holdout could stretch into the regular season, and that affects their offense because that 49er is Trent Williams. Here's what ESPN's Jeremy Fowler had to say on SportsCenter.
Well, I was told from somebody involved in the situation that he is not going to be available until he gets his contract adjusted. He's got 3 years left on his deal. That could bleed into the regular season with us just being a few weeks away. This is a player who's made about $150 million in his career. He's been taking up golf, kind of staying away from the team, doing his own thing, still training, of course, getting ready for the season potentially, but he's not overly stressed to have to be out there right now, and he's the 4th highest paid left tackle despite being the best the last few years. So the 49ers know they have to do something here, could sweeten the guarantees on his contract. So they're dealing with Brandon Ayuk at the same time. They're trying to get this guy done. So they're hoping he'll be in the lineup here soon.
The San Francisco 49ers have an amazing offense with some of the best skill position players in football. But Pro Football Focus has their offensive line, if it includes Trent Williams, as 24th overall, noting that Trent Williams, far and away, a future Hall of Famer, the best offensive lineman on this team, with the others around him failing to impress quite as much.
If Trent Williams does not play, you have Chris Hubbard backing him up, and an 11-year veteran. You have some experience there. But in front of him, you have Jalen Moore, who was picked in the 5th round of the 2021 draft. Trent Williams not being on this team affects him more than not having Brandon Ayuk, because he's the tone setter on that offensive line. He protects the blind side. They use him at the tight end spot in motion. He's versatile as heck. With Brandon Ayuk, you can put a receiver in there in short term and be fine. Obviously, he's your best option, but there's nothing like having your dogs in that offensive line. Ask Seattle Seahawks fans all the turnover you had on this offensive line. So yes, he's the best in the game. Him not being there, I think, hurts his offense more than Brandon Ayuk.
We've seen here in Seattle a player extend their holdout into the regular season with Cam Chancellor missing, I want to say 2 games. Maybe just 1, I don't quite remember, but obviously extending that holdout into the regular season, and then came back and rejoined his team without a new contract and did a press conference where, you know, he talked about being back. It was a very interesting thing to watch, and I'm sure a very interesting feeling for Cam, because you want to protect yourself and get what you're worth. You also are watching your guys out there. I wonder what that experience will be like for Trent, because if he holds out into the regular season in San Francisco, let's say San Francisco starts 0-2 to start the season, and that offensive line is clearly an issue, how do you feel, right?
That's the thing. It comes down to your personality. What I know of Cam, he cares about his team and his people. I don't know Trent. Never had a conversation with him. He could be on the side of, look, I'm the best in the game. It don't matter. I want my money. I want it now. I'm towards the end of my career. I'm going to hold out as long as I can. Can his teammates pull at his heartstrings a little bit and be like, man, we miss you. We need you out there. This is our opportunity. The window to win a Super Bowl championship is closing rapidly. Ayuk isn't there. You're not there.
Yeah.
That's the angle they have to take, because it's not going to be about management and what they want and how they feel. Those guys aren't on the practice field, on the game field with them. It's going to be about his teammates, how they can kind of get to him emotionally, and will he respond to that? I wish I knew more about his personality. With Cam, that made complete sense. There's no way Cam's going to leave his boys out there for too long.
All right, last story here. After being cut by the Patriots in early August, Juju Smith-Schuster has found a new home, but it's a familiar face, so maybe it's an old home. He's signing with the Chiefs, reuniting with Kansas City. But my real question is, like what you think about Juju with Kansas City, or maybe Juju as a whole, but also whether this means that Rashee Rice is potentially facing a suspension here.
Oh, we know he's facing suspension.
Yeah.
Ain't no way he was going to do what he did and not get a slap on the wrist of any kind. And good for Juju.
Mm-hmm.
When he was, I think the reality about being an athlete sometimes is that you have to accept who you are. And his best years were when he had Antonio Brown over there kind of taking some pressure off of him. Then you tried to team him up with Claypool. It just didn't work. So I think at this point of his career, Juju understands, like, I'm a 2 or 3. I can extend my career 3 or 4 more years if I just accept it. Now catch the dang ball for the Chiefs and give Pat Mahomes a chance to win 3 in a row.
Seattle Times Mariners reporter Adam Jude is going to join us in 20 minutes. We're going to check in on the first series under Dan Wilson. Before then, we'll hear from the manager himself. He was on with Brock and Salk this morning. We'll take a listen back next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
He is our guy, John Morosi.
This has much more to do with the way the players have performed than Scott's acumen as a baseball manager or even Dan Wilson's potential as a baseball manager. This has everything to do with the inability of this group of hitters to make consistent, meaningful, hard contact against pitches in the strike zone. Period. That's really it. And once you've basically decided that you've seen that movie way too many times and that you just have to turn the page.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Homeowners, Bob Stelton here. Now, I'm sure you've seen metal roofs on commercial properties, but did you know they're an option for your home? Ever since speaking with Anthony at Asset Roofing about their metal roofs, I've been seeing them everywhere. And maybe because Asset Roofing is installing a ton of metal roofs this season. A metal roof lasts longer, is more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. Asset Roofing cuts each metal panel in-house, which speeds up the production process and saves customers money. If you're redoing your roof this year, get a quote from Asset Roofing on a metal roof. I recommend Asset Roofing because they're honest, do amazing work, and prioritize safety within their work culture. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
You know, being out of camp this time of year, you get to see some absolute physical specimens, guys that have trained all summer to be in the best shape of their life. Now, most of us don't have that kind of time, energy, resources, or genetics to look like some of those guys, but we can certainly look our very best with a little help from Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. It's Mike Salk here, and I used that program last year to lose 35 pounds. That's right, lost 35 pounds, and it only took me 8 weeks to do it. Guess what? It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that painful either. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic devised a plan that was right for me. I ate real food that you buy at the grocery store. I lost weight and I looked and felt my very best. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss. So schedule a free, no obligation consultation right now by going to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Just see if it's right for you. 425-588-0080 is the number, or eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Again, 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic Collector Car, Truck, and Boat Auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m. Auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
We are Seattle Sports.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three, and the ball game is over. The Mariners hang on and win it this afternoon.
The home of the Mariners.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industries' no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations.
Hey, are you thinking about an electric car or truck? Then visit Chevrolet Buick GMC at Puyallup today to meet the electric lineup from Chevrolet and GMC. Hey, Brock Heward here, and from the revolutionary GMC Hummer SUV and pickup to the Chevrolet Blazer EV, Equinox EV, and even the first ever all-electric Silverado EV, Chevrolet Buick GMC at Puyallup has the team to share all the benefits of going electric. To learn more, visit them at ChevroletBuickGMC@Puyallup.com or go see them in Puyallup. Chevrolet Buick GMC at Puyallup, a better experience.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Dan Wilson was on with Brock and Salk this morning. We've heard from Dan Wilson before, obviously, a well-known voice and face with this organization. But as manager, finally got to talk to Dan Wilson. Dan was asked about his vision for the club.
To be honest, I think it's probably not any different than most managers. You know, when you get to spring training, your vision is to win a world championship. And you build that and you build towards that during the entire season. And in this case, we have, at the time, 34 games, now 31 games to get that accomplished. So I think for me, as I look at it, that's the goal. That's the vision. This is a team that we've talked a lot about how strong the pitching staff is and the incredible work that they've done on the mound and the great defense that we have behind them. And they say that pitching and defense wins championships, and I believe that wholeheartedly. And so this is a window. This is a time where we can get it done, and that's the hope. That's the vision for this club.
I mean, what else is he going to say? The vision is to make the playoffs and win a World Series.
Yeah, this is this ain't a 31 games left type vision. This is a 190 something game type vision because this isn't a World Series team right now. I think his vision right now is to try to get the most you can out of it. And if you do make the playoffs and you look like a hero, if you do not, it's fine. Everyone's going to throw service under the bus and you get to start all over next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it's coach talk. He's supposed to say that.
I thought the next couple clips were really interesting. So one thing that has always interested me about the debate about Scott Service and who's responsible for what is, well, what's Scott do and what's the front office do and where do analytics come in? It's so hard to pull it apart in modern baseball because it is so different than it used to be. Dan obviously knows how it used to be, so he was asked how management has changed since his playing days.
I think you're right. It has changed. I mean, the decisions, when they boil down to the decision, the decisions are still the same, whether you pinch hit or you don't, or whether you pull a pitcher or not. Those decisions are the same as they used to be, but I think that the information behind them is a lot different than it used to be. There's just so much more information behind it. And so, yeah, being able to wade through some of that, being able to have it accessible and quickly, and having all those people around you to help you with that, the coaches that have really, been locked into it is so helpful. So it's the same game, that the game doesn't change, but sometimes the behind the scenes things and the things that you look to help you make decisions, those things have changed a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's people, helping, trying to get the best out of people that you can.
I think that there's a lot else that's probably changed, but I was thinking about what he said about, like, you're still making the same decisions, but now you've got a ton of information. I was thinking of how hard it would be to look that information in the face and say, I'm going on gut.
No, I think there's an understanding within the levels of an organization that, no, you take this data. This is how we run things.
Right.
I'm sure there are some organizations to where people say, you take the data, tell me what you see, and let's come up with a plan. There's some organizations that say, this is how we handle these type of situations. That's the most intriguing thing for me with this situation, is that how was Service relationship with this data and the guys up top, and will that relationship change with Dan, because obviously it didn't work the way they wanted to with Service. And that's what I hope for Dan, is that he's able to do a lot of the things that he wants to do. When it's all said and done, you have to fall in line with the vision of the people making these decisions. But him being in the organization for so long, he played the game at a high level. He's trained players. He's seen baseball at so many different levels that they would take his input and intertwine it with their philosophy that's already established.
Yeah, I think the curious part is, like, okay, will it look any different? Will Dan have more freedom then to say no? Or will Dan have more freedom?
Right.
I'm not saying Scott didn't. Like, you're the manager. But, like, I think to that Robbie Ray decision. And I'm so mad that video was making the rounds just in general on my timeline after Scott was fired, because I was like, I never want to see this again. But it was a fair critique. However, we also know for a fact that there was a lot of information this team had that made them favor that matchup, and they knew, if we get into this exact moment, we're going to use Robbie Ray here. And then that moment came.
For the Seahawks, for example, I do the halftime show, and I look over, our booth is right next to the coaching staff, the 20 coaches who are in there. And what they're doing is, down in distance, they're collecting data and information. They're looking at these pitches. They're relaying the information down to the sideline, and then McDonald makes his final decisions there, and it's happening so quickly. In baseball, it's like that stuff is almost predetermined already, because all right, if we get in this situation, there's only going to be 1/7 inning. There's going to be 12 third and 5s and 3rd and 1s in an NFL game, right? So in baseball, it's a bit more structured. And I think the fact that the game is moving away from skippers going with their gut is what it doesn't bother me, but it's a strategy that I feel like should be leaned on a bit more, because these guys know these players. They're looking them in their eye, right? They're feeling the identity of a ball game. Data doesn't feel the identity of a ball game. Data only looks at certain situations and say, well, this is what the numbers say you should do. Numbers could be right at times, and they are right. But then again, the human factor is it's something that I hope Dan can really lean on at times when he needs to.
Well said. Last one here. There's so much to take away from this. If you guys missed it, it'll be on the Brock and Salk podcast during hour 3, about halfway through. But one of the most common things we saw from people is, I want to see more small ball. Can we see more of that? So he's asked about whether we'll see that.
It's all going to be contextual. I mean, it's all context dependent, and we'll just kind of see how things go as the season rolls on. But when you get to this part in the season and you get to close ball games, you get to playoff type atmospheres and playoff type baseball, small ball does come into play a little bit more. And so we'll just, again, there's a lot to learn. There's a huge learning curve when it comes to doing this. And so I'm just continuing to try to learn as much as possible, and we'll see how things go.
Can I do my version of Dan translator?
Yeah.
Dan said, please don't put that on me. I didn't build this roster. I don't know what we can and can't do in a game. This is a team that struggles to hit above 220, and now you're asking me if they can hit singles instead of home runs, and if we can steal a few more bases. I gave you the stolen bases. Let me work slowly here.
Have you ever, I was in a class one time where the teacher either got laid off or got fired late into the school year, and then the sub comes in and they end up being the teacher for the class. And now we're going through lessons. They're like, y'all don't know this yet? Like, nah, Mrs. Doubtfire didn't teach us that. Hey, what you got for us? That's essentially the position that Dan is in. So he's better off just treading lightly with some of his predictions and wants and needs until he figures this thing out. That's why I think it was important that he goes, look, I'm learning here. All right, don't put that on me. Put that on Mrs. Doubtfire.
Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. All right, well, let's find out what Adam Jude saw when he saw Dan Wilson's first series. We got lots of questions for him, and he joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
We had the penalty on the third down, which is a little bit of the theme of the night, which is something that we need to clean up moving forward.
Isn't it weird to hear a coach recognize that penalties might be a problem?
9 of them for 85 yards? Yeah, that's a big problem.
It's weird to hear someone actually say it, though.
Yes.
There were penalties, whatever, I don't care.
That jumping off sides for free first down? Yeah, that's a problem.
That's actually an issue?
Oh, you mean the unsportsmanlike after you get off the field and give them another first down? Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Go figure.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Two things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV. Choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now, they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
Want to listen to Seattle Sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle Sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Seattle Sports has your chance to win 2 tickets to see Slipknot live, White River Amphitheater, September 7th. Head to seattlesports.com/win to enter and see contest rules. That's seattlesports.com/win for your chance to win.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Did you know about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? You can get an $80 benefit card to spend at local farmers markets. Use it to buy seasonal fruits, vegetables, and honey. Just bring your new SFMNP card with you when you shop. When you make a purchase, the grower will scan your card. Then you'll confirm the purchase with your PIN.
You're all set. Enjoy those tomatoes.
Thank you, I will. Find participating markets, local contacts, and more info at seniorfmnp.com. That's seniorfmnp.com.
Having quality care matters to everybody. So, let's talk about it. Optum Care Washington is healthier primary and specialty care. Your doctor can connect you to the care you need with top clinicians in more than 55 specialties, including podiatry, orthopedics, sports medicine, and spine specialists. And if you ever need ENT, breast, or colorectal surgery, you can count on board-certified surgeons. For top local doctors focused on you, connect with Optum at yourhealthwa.com.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
This is Seattle Sports.
10-5, touchdown Seahawks if it stands. Yes,
710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter both reporting Uchenna Nwosu has a sprained MCL and will miss between 2 and 6 weeks for the Seahawks. Remains an option for the IR. If he's on the IR, he'll miss 4 weeks. CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys have agreed on a new deal after a long holdout and questions about where negotiations would go. Dallas gave Lamb a 4-year, $136 million extension. That comes in just shy of Justin Jefferson's 4-year, $140 million deal.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. There's a big change for the Mariners this weekend in their first series without Scott Service as skipper, instead replaced by Dan Wilson. Let's find out what felt different with Seattle Times reporter Adam Jude. He joins us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hi, Adam. How's it going?
Hi, Stacey. How are you?
Fantastic. Obviously, it was a whirlwind week, especially for you guys at the Times, I'm sure, with a ton to cover following Scott Service's firing, moving on immediately to Dan Wilson, then learning he was not interim manager. Oh, my God, so much to go through. I'm going to start with whether or not anything stood out in this series that to you as a reporter covering it, popping into the clubhouse, talking with players, did anything feel different at all in terms of strategy, philosophy, or is that all overblown?
That's probably a little bit overblown in some ways. I mean, again, it's not like they're completely overhauling the roster, right?
Right.
Dan Wilson has the same guys to employ that Scott Service did. But, you know, I did write about it a little bit yesterday. It felt, you know, slightly different seeing one sacrifice bunt out of your number 9 hitter, Leo Ribas, in the middle of the game. I think it was a 1-run game at that point. And that is a little more old school baseball. Mm-hmm. You know, they had 5 steals yesterday, I believe 8 steals in the 3-game series. You know, in the first half of the season, the Mariners, you know, they're kind of going both you think about both Mitches and you think about, you know, Ty France, you think about some of more of the lumbering type guys in the lineup, not as athletic, just not able to, you know, go first to third or steal as many bases or anything. So I think they're a little better positioned to do some of that type of stuff. And Dan Wilson said that, I think, in his introductory press conference too, that they're going to be a little more aggressive in that way, kind of the small ball approach a little bit. So we did see a little bit of that over the weekend. It remains to be seen, obviously, if that's something that's kind of at the core of Dan Wilson's, you know, managerial philosophy. We've had such a small sample size so far, but I am curious to see if that's something that he continues. But we know over the past few years, just this team, if they don't hit a home run, if this office doesn't hit a home run, they're most likely not going to win, right? That doesn't mean they're sitting back and waiting for that 3-run home run every game. But and this is true for most major league teams, but it just felt like the Mariners had to hit a home run at some point to really give themselves a chance and back that strong starting pitching. So maybe this is more of a slight philosophical shift that they're going to be a little more aggressive and go with maybe that a little bit more of an old school approach.
Adam, you described it beautifully. It's like, all right, well, the philosophy might be switching more to a bit more small ball, but we know that when they hit bombs, they typically win some ball games. And with the text lines, we get a lot of that. It's once you move on from certain type of leadership, people want to see a drastic change. I look at this lineup and I go, well, are they equipped to have this drastic change? Was this lineup built to resemble something else? When you look at it, do you think they're capable of switching their approach to this whole thing?
Again, here or there, like we saw, yesterday, a little bit. Like I said, I still think you need Julio. You need guys in the middle of this lineup. You need certainly Randy Arozarena to start hitting a little bit and slugging a little bit. That means, doubles in the gap. That means home runs at the right time. It certainly makes things a lot easier, for any team, and certainly for a new manager trying to find his footing, and for a team really trying to, stay within striking distance of the Astros here in the AL West for 31 games left. So, no, again, we'll see J.P. Crawford probably in the next week coming back from the injury list. Other than that, you've got what you got at this point, right? It's almost September, well past the trade deadline here. They don't have any young superstar position prospect to call up and kind of throw to the wolves a little bit. I mean, this is who they are. They just need their guys to start hitting a little bit more, right? They need Julio to be a little bit closer to the guy he was his first couple of years. Like I said, they need Arozarena to be the guy he was for so long in Tampa Bay. And I think they'll be a lot better. We've seen Cal Raleigh really come up with some big moments this year, but he's been a little bit streaky. If he can kind of get on a nice run in September, again, home runs help. Home runs help every team in baseball, and the Mariners certainly will need some of them if they want to track down Houston here.
Adam, from what you could gather, and I'm assuming multiple visits to the clubhouse, probably, I'm sure, some off-the-record conversations that you aren't going to share here, and that's okay. From what you can tell us, what's been the reaction to players to not just the firing of Scott Service, but also the arrival of Dan Wilson?
Yeah, the fact that it happened on an off day, obviously, on Thursday, I think helped guys absorb the news a little bit. I know it was a shock to most of them. J.P. Crawford really blossomed under Scott Service, and I know J.P. Crawford took it pretty hard. Most of those guys did too. Cal Raleigh, all these guys. It's the only manager they've ever really played for, right? When you think about this core of this roster. That said, by the time a couple hours before first pitch on Friday night, so many of them had already turned the page, right? You have no choice but to embrace the new guy at this point. They've all known Dan Wilson a little bit. He's been around, certainly at spring training. He's there every day. He's been part of the organization for 11 years now as a roving instructor and a coach, but obviously they know, too, his place in the Mariners Hall of Fame and just what he means to this organization overall. So, they want to play in the playoffs, and the only way they can do that is to take a business-like approach and move forward and move on. And I know, Daniel Kramer and I had talked to Julio before the game on Friday, and some people were kind of caught off guard by Julio's comments when he said, we're just employees here, and we're, kind of took an unemotional approach maybe to the Service's firing. But I know Julio felt bad too, and he didn't want to see Scott go. But at the same time, like, Julio's got his own issues right now. He's trying to pick things up, and he's, like I said, trying to keep this team in the playoff chase. And like I said, they have no choice but to move on quickly and get to the task at hand.
It's a scoreboard watching game for the Mariners right now. I know the players are going to say all the right things. We're focused on us day by day. We get that, but you need some help from the Astros. Have you seen or heard of any slowing down from those guys?
That's a great question. This is such a crucial week, a crucial stretch here. The Mariners took care of business over the weekend against the Giants, winning 2 of 3, right? That has to be your focus if the Mariners, right? You just got to keep winning series at this point. And if you look at the schedule over the next 10 days, 2 weeks, it's a winnable stretch for the Mariners. They've got Tampa Bay coming in. That's a 500 team. Then they go on the road to Anaheim, to Oakland, and St. Louis. Those are all teams either right at 500 or under 500. This is the stretch. If the Mariners are going to close the gap on the Astros, they've got to do it here the next 10 to 12 days, because at the same time, Houston just finished a series where they split in Baltimore. They're in Philadelphia today to start a series against the Phillies. I believe they play the Royals next. Houston's got a tough stretch here, and I think Houston, if they're lucky, they're probably going to be hovering around 500. So this is the time. The Mariners got to make their push right now. They should expect and hope to close that gap to 2-3 games here by mid-September, and then you're hoping when you get head-to-head one last series against the Astros in Houston late in the season that you can get within striking distance there within 1 or 2 games going into the last week of the season to really give yourself a chance. So this is a huge stretch right here for the Mariners. It's certainly doable. 4.5 games right now. We've seen crazier things done. We've seen it happen to the Mariners just this summer. It's doable there, but the Mariners have to stay consistent. And as you said, Bump, they're certainly going to need some help from the Astros as well.
When we talk about Cal Raleigh, Adam, we always point to his home runs, obviously leading the club. He's had one of the most important home runs in this club in the last 20 years, and that leads among catchers as well. But obviously, when you have the best pitching staff in baseball, the catcher comes into that. What can you tell us about Cal's role in the development, particularly of these young arms?
Yeah, I don't think we have enough time to really detail all that Cal does for these guys. And, he's pretty unassuming guy the more we've gotten to know him the past few years, but he really is the backbone, not only of the pitching staff, but everything they do in that clubhouse. If Cal Raleigh speaks up and says something, he commands guys' respect. They're going to listen. They're going to take it to heart. He's saying it for a reason. And it's been really important for Brian Wu in particular. I think that's what you're referring to, Stacey. They're roommates this year. And Brian, as we've seen, obviously, when he pitches, he's been really good. But when his issue, obviously, of course, in the first half of the season was just being available, right? He had kind of the elbow inflammation come out of spring training. Then he had a hamstring issue. It seemed like all summer that was nagging him on and off. And I think finally Cal Raleigh, I don't want to say it had enough, but, he said, look, we need to talk. And I know Logan Gilbert was involved in the conversation a little bit too, but it was mostly Cal saying, hey, man, you're as talented as anyone in baseball right now. You've got elite stuff. You guys cannot pick up your fastball. The results are there. You were really, really good. So I think part of it was just building up a young pitcher saying, we know how good you are. We need you to push yourself a little bit more between starts and find a routine that works for you, and maybe push through some discomfort every now and then. And Brian Wu, obviously, since that conversation just over a month ago, took it to heart, and he's really taken off since then. I think he's allowed 6 earned runs in his last 6 starts. He's been pretty incredible. 2.06 ERA overall this season, number 1 in the American League among pitchers with at least 80 innings. He's not going to end up qualifying for the ERA title by the end of the year, but when he's out there and he's available, we saw it again yesterday. He's just untouchable. These guys cannot touch his fastball, and I think obviously Cal Raleigh deserves a ton of credit for that.
Hey, Adam, we know that the Mariners, they're the type of team that need help from the bottom of the order, right? You're going to need some performances like we saw maybe from Rojas going 2 for 3 with an RBI the other day. Who do you think can be that guy? Is it Rojas? Is it a guy like Rivas? Who'd you put your money on?
Yeah, good question. I'm really curious to see. I mentioned J.P. Crawford. He'll probably go out he's on a rehab assignment now, and I expect him back maybe by the end of the week. And we know kind of the emotional leader that JP has been for this team the last few years. And you pop him right back into shortstop and you feel great. But I'm really curious to see what they do with a young guy like Leo Rivas. Gives you so much utility. He's a switch hitter. He's got solid speed. He's a great glove at shortstop. Can fill in probably throughout the infield for you too if you need that second, third at times. So I'm curious to see what that means for the roster crunch with him, because he came up huge with the walk-off hit the other day on Friday night in Dan Wilson's first game, and he's just a great story. A 26-year-old career journeyman minor leaguer and kind of a little guy, and here he is taking advantage of his first opportunity in the big leagues, and I think he's really given them kind of some stability with JP being out for the past month or so. So I'm really curious about that one. If he's in there, I like what Leo Rivas is doing lately, and you brought up Rojas there. Rojas really kind of helped stabilize things early in the season, got off to a really good start, cooled throughout the summer here. But if he can kind of be closer to the guy he was in April and May as they get into September here. That's obviously a huge boost at the bottom of the lineup. We know how good Rojas has been defensively at third base all season, but if they can get his back going a little bit at the bottom of the lineup bump, I think you're right that that could offer a lot for this offense.
I'm sure you saw Jerry DiPoto's interview with Ken Rosenthal last week, Adam, where he talked about, hey, we need some self-reflection. We need to look at even the philosophy. We need to look at everything we're doing. There have been seasons, in fact, all but one, in which Jerry DiPoto and the Mariners have not made the playoffs. And so I'm sure there have been similar comments that he's told you guys. Did that seem like a different tone, that maybe he was looking at this season as kind of a jarring realization of something? I guess what I'm asking is, do you still anticipate that regardless of whether or not they make the playoffs, this team in front office will kind of look at what they need to change heading into next year?
Yeah, it's a good point and a good question, and absolutely. I think it'll look more jarring now because it's not just a one-off, right? This has basically been 3+ years in a row.
Right.
Certainly it hasn't been quite this stark and depressing offensively, but when you had a couple of specific goals for an offense to cut down on strikeout rates and to create more traffic and get on base a little bit more, and all of those things went the wrong way, you absolutely have to look at everything. And I think Jerry's saying the right things, and it'll be curious to see throughout the winter how they're able to follow up on that and what they do to address some of those things, because it's obvious to all of us. It's obvious to them. And so he's not saying anything that should be surprising. But to your point, Stacey, what does that mean? Does that mean a complete overhaul? Does that mean, you bring in new people with new ideas and new philosophies and change some things pretty drastically? Because it all has to be on the table right now. I've been asked a lot, and I think you guys talked about it too, but Teoscar Hernandez's comments this summer in a story I wrote, some of the angles and the batter's eye at T-Mobile Park too. I mean, some hitters feel like they're off balance or out of whack a little bit, just looking and trying to find the spin or find the ball. I mean, they've got to look at everything because obviously this can't continue. The offense has to be better than it's been, not only this year but the past few years, and they need to figure it out. They have to. There's no other option.
All right, Adam, last one, a quick one. What do you got coming up for coverage here? Are you on the next couple series? Any columns coming out?
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, we've had a good conversation with Cal Raleigh actually yesterday. He's really close with Dan Wilson, going back to his very first day in pro ball. So we'll have something on Cal and Dan's relationship here in the next couple of days. And then, just more of the same, getting back out on the road and see if these guys can hang in there.
I'm very interested to read that Cal column. You guys can check that out at seattletimes.com. I will be reading it. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care. Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
You outscored me on that one. 2 good questions.
I mean,
from
but
Adam.
yours was kind of like a third and short completion with a lot of yak.
You know
though.
what I mean? Like It was a little bit like I got just under the wire where it was like, no, they forced a field goal. That's crazy.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was a good interview with Adam. I learned a lot. First down, what did the defense look like when the starters were in?
They look good. They look good, man. The very first play from scrimmage, I'm looking at the safeties because that's been a big just talking point, especially when I'm talking to the pregame show guys. How are they going to use them? First play, they roll J Love into the box. J Love shoots the gap. Boom, TFL. I go, that a kid. And then later on, we see Wallace. Wallace rolls down into the box and forces a play. I go, that a kid. And then I'm looking at the linebackers. What are these linebackers going to look like? We've seen Tyrese. We've seen Radigan, Patrick O'Connell. I think his name's Patrick O'Connell. Last name O'Connell. And then I saw Dotson. And Dotson looked like the new age linebacker. He was dropping back. I believe it was a Tampa 2 where he has the middle of the field, or he just had deep cross coverage. And he was on the hip of the receiver. He looked natural. The hips flipped. He went to the right, the right space in the middle of the field, hooked up with the receiver. It looked good. And then I saw D Spoon play a slant perfectly. Didn't get the pass breakup, but was annoying enough to where the receiver didn't catch the football. Only saw the ones for like 11, 12 plays. But those 11 and 12 look really good. Also, continue to see Mike Morris get moved around. The 1 tech, 3 tech, the 5. He played a 6, a wide 9. I mean, it's versatile. Defense looks sound, on point. It was fun.
I like to hear it. Second down. What did you love seeing about JSN's big reception from Geno?
Oh, it was awesome. So you line up. Geno gets to the line of scrimmage. There's some pre-snap motion. There's been movement on almost every play. Jake Bubble goes from the right side to the left side of the formation. He has a player run with him. Geno goes, obviously, this is man. He looks in a slot. You got a nickel over JSN. You got the corner over DK Metcalf. He audibles. He looks to the right side and goes, all right, fellas, check that route combination. We're going here. Does a little sign like we do on TV when it's like time for break or something. Boom, did the time for break sign. And DK ends up running a hitch. And JSN runs a spray fade from the slot. All that means is that he has half of the field to win, and he does exactly that. What that showed me is just they're ready to go, man. The process was on point. Geno recognized the defense. He communicated effectively. The two guys on the outside responded and said, we got you. It was beautiful, man. It's the little things like that. That's why you play for a series, especially when you have a new offensive coordinator, because it's just like, look, I want to show that I understand what's going on. And what that does, it gives Grubb even more confidence in these guys. It gets them excited and gets them ready for week one. It was good to see.
Third down. What's something the Seahawks offense is always going to be prepared for?
They're going to be ready, Stacy. And they're going to be ready for the blitz. The reason why they're going to be ready for the blitz is because so far in Grubb's offenses, he has built-in hot routes. A hot route is an adjustment off a blitz. Typically, when you're in the slot, you're playing against, say, a 3-4 defense. That edge rusher goes, that inside backer goes, man, you flash to that space and you receive the football. So far in Grubb's offense, there are a lot of times where the hot is already built into it. So there's already going to be a slam or a shallow or a dig, something that is going to occupy the middle of the field or the space where the linebackers have gone and vacated. And I love that because there were times last year and the year before where you're getting pressure off the edge. You're getting two guys to go. The slot ain't even looking for the football. And I'm yelling, just throw the hot route, make the adjustment. And I think even if there isn't a route that's already built into this offense to make that adjustment naturally, these guys are going to do that. I'm happy to see that. It drives me crazy. You know how many times it was third and whatever, and we got two backers going, and all I got to do was flash and I get easy money? It's easy money. Take the money, okay? It's like filling out those fake surveys, and you promise you're going to get some money, but except this time you actually do get the money. You're not just the fake winner of the day, okay? Be the real winner of the day.
I've tried for so many gift cards.
So many gift cards.
So many gift cards. I've never gotten one. Sephora.
And now you're getting calls from New Zealand and stuff.
Exactly. Stay away. I have a question, actually, a follow-up for that one. You mentioned like the built-in hot route, so they're ready for the blitz. Why would every offensive coordinator not do this all the time? Like, what do you sacrifice by doing that? Or is it just something where it's like...
I don't know, Stacey. It's a numbers game. I'm thinking there are instances where you have the running back to the side where you're getting the pressure, so you feel like, okay, I'm protected. I don't need to make that adjustment. But even if you are protected, it is so dang easy. I don't understand why people don't do more of this.
Fourth down. Who is your dark horse, or maybe dark horses, to make the team when cuts are made?
I got several. Put some respect on my nephew.
Oh, God.
D. Eskridge.
There we go.
Number one. 79 yards to the house, okay? My man. Make this team, D.
Oh, I love watching him do it at 30 years old, too. You know how I feel about 80s babies.
My guy, D. So that wasn't where I was going, but there's no way I wasn't going to get on the ones and twos. You know how many people hit me up on X,
when he did
Instagram?
That?
They're like, Bob, your boy. I go, you dang right. My boy got it done.
Strong.
Let's go. So D, got to show love to D, but I'm focusing on my guy Russell, man, the tight end / fullback. I think he can play / linebacker if you needed him. He could be the Nick Ballore of this generation. His body type and the way he plays allows him to play different positions. I've seen him catch a football. I've seen him be like a fullback type at the tight end spot, kind of kicking out the back edge of like a power or something like that. He just does a lot. And then I'm looking at O'Connell. He's probably a guy who's a practice squad type of dude, but he's one of those guys that can become a fan favorite, eventually run down on special teams. And big up to Laviska Shenault. You guys looking at that run from Kenny McIntosh, 56 yards. Look at who opened it up for him. It was number 81. He continues to impress me, and I'm sure the staff as well. He will be on this ball club. But those are my dark horses. Real dark horses. You got to go Russell, O'Connell, and then we'll see if D did enough to be on the squad.
Man, I wonder how much of an effect the change in kick return rules has on kind of a second chance for guys like Shenault, who I remember doing a draft profile on him. Like he was a name that people were watching. You were waiting to see where he would land. And at the time it was like, oh, Seattle could use a wide receiver. Let's see if they add him. So when he came here, you're just thinking, well, what didn't work before?
But and here's the thing, too. He's had decent years. 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 20. 619 yards, no touchdowns, 21. Then you go to Carolina, where it seems like things go to die at times. 272 and 1 touchdown. He got some ball left in him, man. Let's go get it.
From the Mac and Jack's text line, why does the morning show want D. Eskridge to be cut?
I don't know, man, because they don't love him like I do. You ever that song Maps?
Maps?
Yeah, from Maps. Wait,
oh yeah,
they don't love you like I love you.
Wait.
Yes, that's me and D right
We got to
there.
play out with that song as an honor
That's like
for
a
D. Eskridge.
rock band song?
Yeah.
Guitar Hero song?
Yeah. No, This is great radio.
They don't love you like I love you.
That's Bump's message to D. Eskridge. I would wager that they don't want him to be cut, that they're very intrigued by all the other options they have, and that maybe they've run to the end of their rope in terms of patience with
there's
D.
obviously something has not been working for him. Maybe it's just picking up the playbook or getting open when running routes. You got to be more than just a punt returner in today's game.
All right, rate, review, subscribe to the Bump and Stacy podcast. We're available wherever it is you get your pods, as well as on SeattleSports.com and the Seattle Sports app. Every single show leading up to the start of the regular season, we've been having kind of a listener engagement segment where all of us who are Seahawks fans get to talk about the best Seahawks player at every position. This position, you would think we would have kept for the very end, but I'm turning up the spice early. And we're going to talk about the best Seahawks quarterback ever. 866-979-3776. Mac and Jack's text line. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper. What kind of manager do you want to be?
Having a good relationship with the clubhouse is huge and really help to support the players. And, we want to be in it with them on a daily basis. In some ways, too, it's about getting out of the way. I mean, these guys are good players. These guys are the best players in the world at what they do. And so it's giving them what they need, but then allowing them the space and the creativity and the individuality to go out and do their job. The baseball season is a grind. There's no question. You have to ride that balance.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Oh, it is the time of the season for pests. That's right. No one likes them. No one knows where they come from, but we can all agree no one wants them in their house. Mike Salk here for Crawl Pros, and they have a full-service pest control division now called Pest Pros. They can come to your house and do a full corner-to-corner inspection, take care of any problems, just like they did at my home. This is the time of the year you'll start seeing more ants in and around your home. You may also begin hearing a little buzzing outdoors. Bees, wasps, hornets. If they make a nest on your property, that is a huge nuisance. So please don't try to take care of those nests on your own. Simply call Pest Pros to have any nest removed and destroyed professionally before the problem grows or you and your guest ends up getting stung. Pest Pros is the full-service pest control division of Crawl Pros with eco-friendly treatments to keep ants, stinging insects, and all sorts of critters from making their way into your home. If you're worried about rodents, ants, or other bugs or an issue in and around your home, call Pest Pros or visit gopestpros.com to schedule a free inspection at gopestpros.com.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
You gotta love baseball season. But when it comes to your windows, you don't want any curveballs. Rick Riz here, reminding you to trust your clubhouse with locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Experience the difference with high-quality products, expert installation, and top-notch customer service. It's always a home run with Pella. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Just go to PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
And welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments.
Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Brian Wu once again dominating on his home mound.
The home of the Mariners.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Kinematics Marine Equipment reminds listeners many boaters take to the water this time of year, and one of the biggest safety barriers is alcohol. The problem is alcohol sends clear-headed thinking overboard. Remember, boating is only pleasurable if you play it safe. Please, on the waterways, as on the roadways, don't drink and drive. An important reminder from the entire team at Kinematics Marine Equipment, your nationwide source for marine deck gear for over 40 years. Online at kinematicsmarine.com.
Motorcycle accident cases require a thorough investigation by a team of experienced legal professionals if they have any chance of being successful. Insurance companies, juries, and even the police tend to assume the worst about motorcycle riders. Get help from an experienced team of attorneys that have successfully resolved hundreds of motorcycle accident cases over the past 30 years. Call Davis Law Group for a free legal consultation or get my free book on motorcycle accidents at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Who is the best Seahawks quarterback all time? Franchise history. Text now to the Mac and Jacks text line 866-979-3776. The best in the world, Craig.
Yes.
But also the best in Seattle history. I have my answer, Bump. You have yours.
Do you have your answer?
I do.
Is it that hard? It's not that hard.
It's not that hard.
Y'all
I think
are crazy.
people will answer from a place. I think 90% of what we see will be one Russell Wilson.
Okay.
And I think other people who send in other answers either have a personal connection, liked that player, maybe something he brought as a passer, or they don't like Russell Wilson enough that they're just blind to what he was in Seattle. That's what I think.
Well, let me start off by saying there's been some names here. Let's start off with Trent Dilfer. Super Bowl winning quarterback, used to play for these Seattle Seahawks. He threw for 2,500 yards. One of my favorites, Seneca Wallace. My man wouldn't have played for the Hawks if he wasn't throwing your boy the rock. Warren Moon, man, the only guy to be in the NFL and CFL Hall of Fame. And then you go John Kitna. Remember John Kitna, local legend, Central Washington. Let's get it.
Remember John
Kitna? coached at Lincoln High School here in Tacoma, and then went down south to Texas, where he's getting like $150K to coach high school football. How crazy is that? All right, he's number 7 on the all-time passing list. Guess who's number 6? Geno Smith. Number 6 already. Don't y'all sleep on him.
Geno.
And then you got the names that I feel like the older heads are going to throw out there. Jim Zorn, and you got Dave Craig. Played golf with Dave Craig a few years ago. Awesome dude. And then the last 2, this is what it really comes down to.
Yes, I agree.
Are these 2. The one guy who threw me my touchdown, Matt Hasselbeck, 29,000 yards he has. How many touchdowns he got in this thing? 174 touchdowns. But come on now, folks.
Come on.
It is the guy who could have played baseball if he wanted to. The guy who was a, 3rd-round pick? A guy who won a job over Flynn, who they're going to pay $10+ million.
Come on.
It is no other than the brother, Russell Wilson.
Come on.
37,000 yards. Man, come on. This is easy. 292 touchdowns. It is what it is. You can hate on him all you want to. You can say he wouldn't have done anything without the Legion of Boom. Possibly. You need a good defense. Went to 2 Super Bowls, you won 1. But after that, he was the reason why this team was relevant for a long time. They were giving up a bunch of yards, but he was tossing a bunch of yards. Did he take a lot of sacks? Yeah, he did. Could he not see over the middle? Maybe. He's 5'10", 5'11", okay? But don't forget the good times you had with Russell Wilson. There are a bunch of jerseys out there that still got the 3s. I was at the game this weekend. Obviously, I got to work, okay? 3 jerseys are still out there. Just show some love to the man. You don't have to like him now, but don't forget what he did for you. It's Russell Wilson. If you say anything else, I'm blocking you from the text line.
No, we're not blocking
really.
you.
I'm
We're
not blocking you.
We're not blocking you. Please keep texting.
It's an empty thread like with my kids. I'm going to take your Xbox away if you don't do this. You know, dang well, as soon as mom leaves, you can play on the Xbox.
Jen in Beaverton says Russell Wilson, and it's not close, and I absolutely agree. You can look at any single record with the exception of most passes intercepted in a game, which goes to Jim Zorn. Most passing touchdowns in a rookie season, Russell Wilson. Most passing touchdowns in a season, Russell Wilson. Most passing touchdowns in a career, Russell Wilson. Most games of 300 or more yards in a career, Russell Wilson. Most games of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 passing touchdowns in a career, Russell Wilson. Most game-winning drives in a career, or in a season, excuse me, Dave Craig. Tied with Russell Wilson. They are tied with 5. In fact, Geno Smith.
Most career sacks, Russell Wilson.
That's the other thing. If you are here saying that it's not Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson went to a you don't want to give Russell Wilson credit for being a Super Bowl winning quarterback because he went there behind one of the very best defenses in modern NFL history. I see your point. I raise you that he never played behind the offensive line that Matt Hasselbeck played behind ever. Ever. The best offensive line he's ever had was the one he was behind in 2013 for that Super Bowl. And would we say that that was inching anywhere near what the 2005 offensive line was for Seattle? No. So if you're going to constantly do these qualifiers where you take credit away from Russell Wilson for how great he was with the Seahawks, you can do that easily for anyone else. And just know that.
Yep. And big ups to the homie Brock Heward. He's on this list too. He was a quarterback for our Sox. Brock Heward. Our Sox? Our Hawks. Brock Heward. Hey, did you mention game-winning drives, right? Did you mention that?
Yes, most game-winning drives in a
32
season.
of them things. Career.
Oh, career in a season. Okay, so career, it's also Russell Wilson.
32.
Yeah.
32 of them things.
Come on now.
Yeah, it's Russell Wilson, man. It's okay to not really wish for your ex to have a lot of success, but to look back at the good times. Remember when you went and got ice cream that one time and she made you laugh? You know? Remember that time you guys went on the Ferris wheel on the pier and you guys had that moment? Like, don't forget those moments. It's okay. You don't have to like her or him now, but those moments were great when you were in those moments.
Hasselbeck, because he wanted the ball and wanted to score. Oh,
don't you do that to him?
Why'd you do that?
Leave him alone.
Why'd leave that man alone?
Please.
He's out here trying to. He's doing great things.
Great things. His daughter was an intern.
Yeah, great relationship
Seahawks.
with the city, with the team. Great analysis. That man's wonderful. But the answer is Russell Wilson.
It's Russell.
I actually am tying this to. Because, look, I don't know how many. There's like 3 people that disagree with us. A vast majority of listeners on the Mac and Jacks text line saying Russell Wilson. So I'm going to expand it to this. Instead of just who was the best Seahawks quarterback ever, because we all agree it's Russell Wilson, love to Matt Hasselbeck, do we now, years removed, and especially after watching Russell Wilson fail with Denver and looking at who he is now as a passer, kind of forget how good he was. Because remember, I brought up that text from that producer with 670 the score in Chicago, and they were talking about Caleb Williams, and he was like, if Caleb Williams has the career Russell Wilson did in Seattle, are you going to be disappointed? And I was surprised how many people were like, yeah. And I get it. He's a first overall pick. It's very different. But, like, we have just completely forgotten at one point how good Russell Wilson was.
And people forget how hard it is to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. It is tough. If Caleb Williams has the career that Russell Wilson has, that means he's gone to the Super Bowl twice and won one. The Bears haven't won a Super Bowl since '85. Great year, by the way. He wins 115 games. He puts in 10 years with your organization, and with those 10 years, he brings home, 4 or 5 Pro Bowls. He is one of the reasons why your team is competitive every single year. It's hard to win in this league. It's hard to be as consistent as Russell Wilson was from 2012 to 2021. You are going to take that. I understand you want Caleb to be in the Hall of Fame. And who's to say that if Russell Wilson puts together a couple good years with the Steelers and he gets them into the playoffs and makes a run, who knows? I think he's Hall of Fame caliber, but I think that he might be a few ballots down the road depending on how things happen here. No, you take the career that Russell Wilson had. Obviously, you want Caleb to do more. Is he physically more talented than Russell Wilson? Yes. Does he have more star power than Russell Wilson to start his career? Most definitely. Does he have more weapons to work with to start his career? I would agree there as well for Caleb Williams. Caleb is set up to have a better career on paper, but you got to go out and play these dang ball games. You take Russell Wilson's career.
What happened to him? $1 million question. Did he refuse to adapt? What I won't accept as an answer is he was never good. I think he was good. Yeah. Was he ever as great as he thought? Doesn't seem like it. Like that I'll accept. Like he went to Denver thinking I can be Drew Brees and was not Drew Brees. He also did not adapt.
Right.
He also did not change bad habits once he left. And not to mention his first year, they lost one of their starting wide receivers. They lost some offensive linemen. They lost their starting running back. They had a first-time head coach who was really struggling, and Russ was god awful. Like all of that is true. It remains one of the most fascinating drop-offs to me because you saw pieces of it here in his final 2 seasons, but not to the extent that you did with Denver.
Yeah. The recent bias, it kind of influenced the way you remember history sometimes, you know? And let's remember it the right way. Remember it the young man with the short hair with the Hawaiian shirts and cargo shorts. Remember that young man. Because that young man helped win you a Super Bowl.
Remember that young Trader Joe's employee who just wanted to come here and win a Super Bowl.
That's it.
That young man. Think of that man. All right, get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776. Coming your way next.
The pennant race is on Seattle Sports.
Swing and a drive. Deep to right center. That baby's way gone.
Goodbye, baseball.
Tune in for exclusive coverage, expert analysis, and every single pitch as the Mariners sail toward the AL West title.
Swinging a fly ball. Blasted deep. This is way back and gone.
And a swing and a miss. Came back with a splitter for strike 3.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
Justin Meek. He's the leader and caretaker of the 380 people who consider Lee Johnson their home.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
I was unable to walk
for 3 months. The insurance company was very excited to talk to me and wanted to make sure that I had up to $5,000. My attorney quickly told me, they need to talk to us because there wasn't any amount of compensation that would make up for what I experienced. The Davis Law Group really helped me out.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Having quality care matters. So, let's talk about it. Nobody likes not feeling their best, but it's comforting to know top local doctors are nearby when you need one. Optum Care Washington is here with exceptional primary and specialty care, from OBGYN and family medicine to urology and gastroenterology. We also accept most Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, with over 45 Puget Sound locations, Optum offers peace of mind close to school, work, and home. Discover all the ways Optum is here for you at yourhealthwa.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Going for DK Metcalf. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
The home of the Seahawks.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Other places make you pay extra for that. But at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from less. Book your appointment at leschwab.com. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com for details.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about the true cost of a DUI. The humiliation, heartache, and fear are only the beginning. A DUI is a gross misdemeanor with serious consequences, like jail time, fines, and license suspensions. There's some bitter surprises, too. DUI hinders employment, other legal matters, and even custody outcomes. Don't even get me started on insurance premiums or being turned away at the border. You need the true value of our top-rated lawyers. We're fighting for you. So call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com. The real cost of a DUI conviction is like a cell phone bill. There's a lot tacked on. Fortunately, your investment in 1-800-DUI-AWAY can pay for itself many times over.
1-800-DUI-AWAY!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know. Get your questions into the Mac and Jack's text line 866-97. No, sorry, I was typing and saying it at the same time.
You're right.
I was writing out the question. 866-979-3776. I was jotting down my own question so that I wouldn't forget because we were talking about it during the break. All right, get your questions in. I'll start with this one about rookie quarterbacks. I considered adding Jaden Daniels as like a random pick on my fantasy team. Did not. This listener wants to know who has a better year, Caleb Williams or Jaden.
Caleb Williams will have a better year. Better defense, better offensive line, better pizza, better ingredients, Papa John's. That is Caleb.
Fair, very fair. I think Jaden Daniels brings a little bit more mobility, like kind of that just in athleticism. It's not that Caleb doesn't have that. You kind of have, like, to be a number 1 overall pick and to have people salivating over adding you to their team. He has an ability to be mobile, but I looked at it as like maybe Jaden has a better rookie season and Caleb has a better career overall or better upside. Maybe I'll go with Jaden on this one to keep it fun.
Okay.
What I need to know, who plays more games, Russell Wilson or D. Eskridge?
First off, watch your mouth. Don't you talk about my nephew, D. Eskridge, like that. Because he's going to be a returner and the 5th or 6th wide receiver for the Seahawks. I'm going to go Russell Wilson. He'll start the season. We'll see if he keeps the job, but he'll get the start.
What I need to know, Denver is Seattle's first opponent in week 1. This listener says, what's the biggest threat we need to be aware of against Denver?
Bo Nix.
That's what I was going to say.
My man looks good. He's going to have his rookie moments, and you don't have a lot of film on Nix. You do have some film from the preseason, but I think my man is legit. He's going to be a good quarterback in this league, and he has some weapons. You got Sutton over there, Patrick as well. They're no chumps, the Broncos.
They are not the defense they used to be. They've actually gotten rid of a lot of those players via trade or salary cap decisions. Taking on Russell Wilson's bloated contract meant that they had to trim a lot of other pieces on the roster. So surprisingly, there's a lot we don't know about this Denver team. The only thing we do know is that Bo Nix has been so efficient in the preseason. So, Bump, I think you're right. It's going to be an interesting test for, I would say, especially your defensive backs.
Yep.
Let's see. What I need to know. Why is carbonated water so bad? Radio edit on my part.
Because it is.
No,
Either you drink water or you don't. You don't add anything to that thing.
It's like cold spit. That's how I would describe it.
Cold spit? You're so wrong. Carbonated water is there is nothing more refreshing. Nothing on this planet more refreshing than when you are very thirsty, very hot, and you reach for a can of cold, sparkling water, crack it open, and take a huge gulp of it, so much that it burns your throat. It's so good.
You know what the most disappointing thing is when you go to a soda fountain and you want to put a soda in your cup and only soda water comes out. That's so disappointing. I don't ever want to drink sparkling water like that. Are you kidding me?
I have had sparkling water during and after workouts.
What?
It's so refreshing. I don't like regular water. Regular water is boring. Regular water doesn't have attitude or edge. I'm just not interested in it. I add flavor to it, and I will always prefer sparkling water.
I tried sparkling water. Like before I go to sleep, I always have my water bottle next to my bed. I go, let me just try some sparkling water before I go to sleep. I woke up like I drank 2 bottles of wine the night before. I had a headache.
What?
I was dehydrated.
No
way. It was bad, man.
Oh, I love
will
sparkling
not do
water. Let's see. Oh, this was my own question. We were talking about lines and bathrooms and how men's bathrooms are always dirtier. And at sports events, which we both cover, obviously there's way more men covering. And so I was bragging about how I never really have to wait in a line. Then I was thinking, except for Sunday nights when there's just more people there, and I was thinking of some of the most famous women I've randomly seen in the bathroom or in an elevator. So I was going to ask you the same question. Who is the most famous person you have ever seen in a bathroom or an elevator?
I got my answer.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Katie Couric. Well, I didn't see her in the bathroom. I saw her running to the bathroom. I saw her sprinting towards the bathroom.
Okay, I was in an elevator at Lumen with Al Michaels.
Al Michaels.
Very cool.
I was going to the bathroom when I saw Michelle Tafoya.
Okay.
Told her I loved her.
I appreciate both of you clarifying you were not in the bathroom with these people. Let's see what I need to know. You think Pete Carroll will be watching Seahawks games?
Most definitely. He's going to have a Seahawk party, a watch party with just him and the wifey. He will definitely be watching the game.
I can't believe how many people are disgusted by my take that carbonated water, one of the most popular things. There's an entire aisle at Safeway dedicated to carbonated water.
Just saying.
You guys are in the wrong. I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
Sparkling water is delicious. Let's see what I need to know. Chances the Mariners make the playoffs. Maybe like a percentage chance.
8%.
I was going to say like 10.
Yeah.
The only hope is that you rattle off some wins while Houston simultaneously faces tough teams.
ESPN has them at 15% right now.
Wow, they're more optimistic than we are. I hope they do. I would love to cover it. It was so fun. Let's see what I need to know. It's just people telling me I'm wrong. I need to scroll down. Will the Hawks beat the Broncos week 1?
Yes, they will.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'll give you my score prediction on the pregame show.
I think there's a real possibility they start the season 2-0.
Yeah, you could possibly play 2 rookies, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I like this one. Your favorite NFL theme music? Fox, CBS, Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night.
Monday.
Monday night?
All day.
Is that the I've been waiting all day?
No, that's Sunday.
That's Sunday night. I like that one. Because I go, I've been waiting all day. Matt looks disgusted. Curtis, what's yours?
I would say, Fox is a banger.
Sunday night.
I also like that Fox comes with the slow version when somebody gets hurt. The sad version of their song.
Oh.
Yeah. Dragging somebody off by their on a stretcher.
That is how it is, though. Yeah, exactly. It's like the saddest thing you've ever seen. The player's devastated, and they're like, yeah, go ahead. We hate to show this to you guys. We hate to watch it.
Play the sad music. Play the sad music.
Slow-mo replay, if you could put that on there again. We hate
Run
this.
it.
We hate seeing this. Go ahead and do the replay.
Sad music in now.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports. We are done. Hand you guys over to Wyman and Bob. Very interesting start of a series here. The second under Dan Wilson. Curious to see what these guys say. They're coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
He is our guy, John Morosi.
This has much more to do with the way the players have performed than Scott's acumen as a baseball manager or even Dan Wilson's potential as a baseball manager. This has everything to do with the inability of this group of hitters to make consistent, meaningful, hard contact against pitches in the strike zone. Period. That's really it. And once you've basically decided that you've seen that movie way too many times and that you just have to turn the page.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Motorcycle riders, Bob Stelton here. I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I'm out on the bike as often as possible. And knock on wood, I've never been in an accident. But maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid. And they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
Friends of Waterfront Park proudly presents the 4th annual Waterfront Block Party, Friday, August 30th from noon to 8:30, with events at Pier 62, the Olympic Sculpture Park, and Occidental Square. Join the celebration along the Seattle downtown waterfront and enjoy live music by a talented lineup headlined by True Loves, an open-air market, a promenade parade, food trucks, family-friendly crafts, and more. It's free and welcome to all ages. WaterfrontParkSeattle.org for more info.
Build your deck with PAR. Get everyday low prices on Trex and TimberTech composite decking. And get $100 off TimberTech, Trex, and AZEK railing and accessories with qualifying purchase. Visit par.com for details, but hurry, offer ends soon. What are you building?
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs?
The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online.